Council on this Monday, February 1st, 2021, 2/1/2021, a great date in the city of Sonoma. We'll go ahead and start. We've called the meeting to order, and so we will start with a report on closed session by City Attorney Jeff Walter.
The council took no action requiring reporting out at this time.
All right, wonderful, thank you. Move on, and if we could have the flag raised for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
only with justice for
all.
For all.
And all.
Like the Musketeers. Wonderful. Okay, great. If we could have a roll call.
Vice Mayor Agrimonti.
Here.
Councilmember Dean.
here.
Councilmember Harrington.
Present.
Mayor Harvey.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just to reiterate our process for public comment at these meetings, you can email us at publiccomment@sonomacity.org. Your comment will be read at the time that item comes up for comment. We're about to do general public comment. So if you got an email, then we'll go for that way too. We'll have Latanya read your email, and she does a fantastic job of reading them, but there is a limit of 3 minutes for her to read it. So keep it short, within 3 minutes. You can also make a virtual public comment by dialing *9 on your phone, or virtually raising your hand by hitting the raise hand button like I just did in your Zoom chat. It's also possible that we get hit with a Zoom bomb. If that happens, we'll go ahead and pause the meeting, shut it down. No action will be taken. We'll try to restart. If we are unable to restart, then we'll continue at a different day. Also like to remind you that people are participating from their homes, so they are welcome to turn off their camera at any time during this meeting. If they, sometimes kids come in the room, or your dog, or you got to deal with, burn imposter or something. We're hoping everybody's paying attention to this meeting, but it happens. So you're allowed to turn off your camera, but you should not be leaving the room. We want everybody staying here for the meeting. If any member of this group is leaving the room, they'll let us know before they do so. And that's pretty much how that goes. Great. So we did the report on closed session. We'll go for approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
There we go.
I second.
All right. We got a motion by Councilmember Harrington, a second by Councilmember Ding. Can we have a roll call vote?
Yes, Vice Mayor Agrimonti.
Aye.
Councilmember Dean.
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington.
Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Great. Move right on to public comment. So at this time, members of the public may comment on any items not appearing on the agenda. It is recommended to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less under state law, unless otherwise permitted under the Ralph M. Brown Act. The merits of the matters presented under this item cannot be discussed or acted upon by the City Council at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public will be invited to make your comments at the time the item comes up for council consideration. Upon being acknowledged by the mayor, that's me, please begin by stating and spelling your name. Rebecca, would you mind doing the time again this time and cutting people off at the 3 minutes? You got control of the board, so you can mute people. So I'm going to give you the power to do all that. It makes it easier for me. So we'll go ahead and see if anybody's rising for public comment. Public comment is open. And we have Gil.
Can you hear me?
We can indeed.
Oh, all right. Good evening to the City Council. Gil Latimer, Grant Court, Sonoma. Once again, members of the Sonoma Valley Cannabis Group would like to thank the City Council for its decision to permit a second dispensary. A second outlet will bring additional resources, more product choices, and help keep prices competitive. It's what medical patients and adult consumers of the Valley deserve. And it will work for the city as well in terms of community benefits and tax revenue. Frankly, though, I'm really infuriated that certain elements within the local cannabis industry have actually lobbied against the second dispensary. Looking through the public comment folder, why did Michael Coates, who is the president of the Sonoma Cannabis Enthusiasts Organization and who also handles Sparks Public Relations, write a letter to the council suggesting that, one, if the city added a dispensary, it would disenfranchise the voters who chose no on Measure Y. That's not true. And two, recommending that the council, quote, let the approved dispensary get up and running, then evaluate before jumping too far ahead, unquote. So why would an organization that purports to be for cannabis business in the Valley actually work against the best interests of our medical patients and adult consumers? And by the way, that cannabis enthusiast organization is not to be confused with our team, the Sonoma Valley Cannabis Group. We've spent 3.5 years communicating with the City Council on behalf of Sonoma's medical patients. Those enthusiasts never showed up to a City Council meeting, save one member, because it was in that member's own business interest. Putting dollars before patient access is not acceptable. It smacks of cynicism and arrogance. We could go on in detail about this, believe me, but a council meeting is not the proper venue. So in lieu of that, we would just ask that the council ignore the negative outside forces and please find its way to expedite any new process to permit an additional dispensary. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Gil. Anybody else rising to speak? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close. Oh, we got Milton.
Good evening. Present. This is Richard Silver. Can you hear me?
You can
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Am I speaking too loudly? No. Okay, fine. I'm starting my meeting, my timing. I do applaud Gil's comments. I've got my own timer here, and I support them thoroughly. I have two comments to make. The first is that the process to approve and award a contract for a second dispensary not exceed the length of a full-term baby. And given the fact that you have 3 remaining viable, vetted business organizations, my suggestion, and you guys in the Privy Council will do your own, will be to send them a certified letter saying, requesting, you have been vetted and approved, although you were not selected, would you still be interested in being considered for the second dispensary, yay or nay? Right then and there, you'll either have 1, 2, or 3, and you can proceed there. But I would hope that you would expedite it very quickly. I'm down to 2 minutes left. The second thing is my attention that the company that was awarded the contract for dispensary 1 is vertically integrated, meaning they control the means of production, they own land, they produce product, they package it, they label it, and they sell it under 1 or more of their own brands. What does that mean? That means that they can choose what products to put on shelves. And if Madeline likes strawberry ice cream and Amy likes chocolate, well, they can say, we don't like strawberry, we're not going to have any strawberry. What Gil and I have spoken about, and many others as well, is that the more choice you give to consumers on a product that really is price insensitive, they need this for their health and well-being, they need it for any variety of reasons. It's not a capricious choice, and therefore they should have the widest possibles. Therefore, I request that the council consider the following, and this is to the city attorney. Stipulate that whoever is to receive the second award be solely a bona fides retail dispensary, not a fully integrated operation as Spark is. I hope you'll add that to your list of requirements, not requests. I have 40 seconds left, and I'd like to wish you all, and those of us who are still living in what we thought was the United States of America, an interesting and fruitful year ahead with health and joy to all. Thank you. And this is the return of Richard Silver to City Council.
Mic drop.
I saw Ken raising his hand, but it looks
He
as though.
did have it. He
has-
did have it raised.
Ken is on with us, but he may not have a comment anymore. But knowing Ken, I'm sure he'll. find
I have my comment.
Ken.
Go right ahead.
Trusting you could hear me.
We can.
Oh, good. I want to stay in a vein that acknowledges the city's gifts to its citizens. Every day I sit on my porch and I observe the Friar Creek pedestrian and bike path. I want to thank the city and the landscapers. It is spectacular. Lots of animals, birds, plants, flowers, insects. It's got a creek running through it. It is a beautiful amenity to my enjoyment living here in the city. The Overlook Trail Preserve. I want to thank Billy Montini for his gift to the city, and the city for accepting it and maintaining it in its full glory. It is a beautiful, beautiful amenity to the city. So that's about it. Everyone, please stay safe and vote often.
Thank you, Ken. Anybody else rising for public comment? Being none, I'll go ahead and bring it back. Do we have any written public comment, Latanya?
No, Mayor Harvey, we do not.
All right, our public comment session is closed. I do want to say, as we're going through this, just for those that are a part of it, to look in the chat. Our city manager has put an important piece of information. Is it appropriate for me to give David an opportunity to kind of talk about what he's put in the chat there? Can I do that, Jeff?
Well, we could change the order of the agenda, perhaps to allow for the city manager comments at the beginning of the meeting.
Let's do that during consent calendar, because I think it would be good to have Dave move those up. So would that be okay, Jeff? If we did that, that's part of the agenda. So I don't want to break any rules here.
Yeah,
But I do
the
want-
council can always move things around on the agenda. No question.
Great. All right, great. So we'll move on to item 3.1 then, and then on consent calendar, we'll move the city manager's comments up. So moving on to item 3.1, which is a Celebrate Sonoma that I nominated, but really was brought to me by Mr. Fred Albach. So if we could add him into the meeting here. We'll do that. Fred, if you could raise your hand, maybe that would help. But this is Celebrate Sonoma for Mr. Roy Tennant, a fantastic member of our community and really a leader at the Overlook Trail. Somebody who has dedicated a lot of time to preserving the trail, to ensuring that it is remains beautiful and devoid of invasive species and different plants. And so I'll turn it over to Fred to kind of bring his introduction and talk a little bit about Mr. Tennant.
Mayor Harvey, would you like us to bring Mayor, Mr. Tennant in?
Yeah, that would be wonderful. We'll bring Mr. Tennant in. And Roy's got his hand raised.
There we go.
And Colleen Ferguson is also requesting to be a part of this, which would be wonderful. Let's bring her in as well. All right, Fred, if you want to go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Harvey, and members of the City Council and members of the public, and Roy. Welcome this evening. The city has a really great little trail system, and the Sonoma Overlook Trail Stewards have a really great member and dedicated to maintaining and showcasing this really special trail system that we have. And I'd like to draw your attention to a website that Roy has created called Sonoma Overlook and Montini Preserve Trails website. This is an excellent website where any members of the public would like to have a look at this. It's overlookmontini.org. Roy set this web page up, and the web page has some great stuff on it. A list of trail topics, for example, lizards, coyotes, ferns, hiker notebooks, snakes, safety issues, what's up with the trail during COVID-19, trail ethics, for example, that people don't want to leave food out there because it acclimatizes animals to wanting human food. And so really the webpage really just displays Roy's really great appreciation of nature, and it's a genuine appreciation of nature, and you see this on the webpage. And let's see, so it's a great public education resource there. And let's see, the webpage has a really nice video of the trail also. It's really fun to look at. It's excellent nature photography of Roy's, and again, shows Roy's sincere appreciation of nature. I'd like to read you a little quote of Roy's from the webpage. Day to day, you don't always know what you may be called upon to do, but what we do for the love of the trail. And so I was looking through the webpage today, and I saw all these things that Roy had been doing, and it's just really phenomenal. And there was one thing and there's these little pieces of entries that Roy has made that demonstrate his involvement with the trail across a whole spectrum of activities on the trail. And so this one little article was called Armored Swell, and it showed a big puddle there along the trail, and Roy and another woman had constructed a little drain feature out of rocks that addressed this problem. Roy addresses down limbs. He prepped the trail for the rainy season and got it ready so that the drainage features on the trail the trail will shed the water, and the trail itself doesn't become a creek. Let's see, Roy blocks some of the social trails off, and I remember a number of years ago we had some social trails, and Roy said, I'm throwing down on this one. And I went and looked at what he had done, and he had got all this brush and stuff in there like no one was going to get through there. And so I was really impressed by that. Like, I'm throwing down on this. And so Roy has thrown down on a lot of things. And one of the things was a huge rock getting off the trail. But throwing down is particularly on Roy's investment in getting invasive species off the trail. And this is really his forte, and this is about Italian thistle has got a pretty good victory in pushing the thistle back from the trail edges and from the Overlook and the Montini trails. And so Roy has a really interesting article in there illustrating his challenge here and how methodical he's been, relentless, dedicated to preserving the native ecosystem here. And he's got a program to tackle this task and stay positive. And so you can read all about this on the Overlook Montini webpage. There's some other exotics, the yellow star thistle and the Scotch broom. But I'd like to just read one quote here from the webpage that Roy wrote. Sonoma Overlook Trail Stewards. Happy New Year. I hope this year turns out to be much better than last year. I'm writing after returning from a reconnaissance of the trails, and I can report that we are off to the invasive species races once again. Italian thistle is coming out now, and this is the absolute best time to get it, as it's small, the roots are not well established, and the soil is soft. Also, no need to bag it yet. You can simply pull it and drop it. I'm therefore asking that any of you who hike the trail try to pull at least 10 plants every trip. If enough of us do that, quickly we'll have collectively pulled thousands and eventually tens of thousands of plants, enough to get us to the next level for next year. If any of you would like some experience in spotting, and I'd be happy to meet you and take you out and show you what it looks like in situ, just drop me a line. Thanks, Roy. So that's invasive plants is Roy's forte, but Roy's also been instrumental in a lot of things on the trail, like developing the trail logo, working on the kiosk display, installing new trail signs, and he's generally a highly invested and valuable member of our group. And we have a lot of exceptional people in our group, and Roy stands out as the star. And so, Roy, I'd like to really thank you, and I'm really happy to have been able to present you here in this time. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Fred. And I noticed, you know, in tribute to Roy's kind of humble nature, I'm noticing in the chat he's regularly saying, you know, that other people have helped him with this, and Jess helped move the rock and everything. This is a picture of what we'll be getting to you, Roy, as soon as possible. So this is a certificate of recognition that February 1st, 2021 is Roy Tennant Day. So I, Logan Harvey, Mayor of the City of Sonoma, here to proclaim February 1st as Roy Tennant Day in the city. Your contribution to the community is recognized and much appreciated. And I'll just say, Roy, like, as somebody, I know every member of council hikes this trail, but your commitment to it is well needed and is very appreciated. It's a beautiful trail, and it takes folks like you to maintain it. Colleen, you jumped on here. Did you want to say anything about Roy, or?
Yes, I didn't want to miss the celebration of Roy on behalf of Public Works staff who work with the trail stewards off and on, but trail stewards do most of the work by far to keep the trail in great shape. Just wanted to thank you, Roy, and join the celebration with the rest of the community for Roy Tennant Day. Yay!
Yay! Can I make a comment?
Of course, yeah. I was just going to ask if other members of council wanted to go.
I just wanted to say, so maybe like 6 years ago, I stopped being able to run on cement. So I only go for runs on the Overlook Trail. And literally every single time I'm on there, I see Roy doing work on there. Like, okay, it's not more than twice a week, but coincidentally, he's always there at the same time. And I actually, when we were having our discussions about the ban of the use of Roundup, and Colleen Ferguson talked so much about what it takes to keep a trail accessible without using chemicals, the amount of man hours it takes, it really made me think about the kind of work that Roy and the others are doing on the Overlook Trail to keep it a safe place to hike without poison oak on the trail, without branches on the trail, and not using any poisonous chemicals to do that. So I just want to say, in addition to, it's so obvious your clear dedication, obviously you and Gina have like a household dedicated to public service, which we need so much in our valley. But the fact that, hi Gina, the fact that you're able to do it without, having to use chemicals up there, it's great. It's wonderful. And I just wanted to also acknowledge that hand digging and the hand picking the weeds. I think Colleen suggested that at the time, that if we weren't going to use Roundup in the city, that people would have to do exactly what you suggested. Every time you go out, pick up 10 weeds that you don't want to see and pull them out of the ground. And here you are, like, actually doing it in real life. So thank you so much. And I'm so happy for you to get this as your day.
I want to say something.
I thought I was unmuted.
Jacqueline.
Everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Royal. It's easy to do one day or 1 week or 1 month, but it's difficult to year by year. Really appreciate it. That is, today is really, really Royal Tennant Day for us. And also I hope our kids will join us. Of course, I want to join you if I have the time to do the, that work. And also not only benefit for the community, also benefit for yourself. It's so beautiful, and a little bit exercise, especially during pandemic. That is wonderful. You give us a role model, and everybody wants to follow you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Councilmember Ting. Councilmember Agrimonti? You're muted.
Can you imagine me muted? So I want to thank you so much, Roy. You know, I just went on Overlook Montini. And I was looking at your past posts. They're so interesting. I'm sorry I wasn't really that aware of it, and I'm just really glad we're very fortunate and lucky. But this is common with people who live here. You know, you're not, you know, you just want to do your best for your environment, and I appreciate your commitment. I think it's wonderful, and I encourage many people to go to overlookmontini.org and get the surprises that we all deserve. It's wonderful work. Thank you so much.
Roy, did you want to make any comment?
Yes, just I thank you, everyone. This is overwhelming, actually. One comment. When it comes to invasive species in our public lands, I want to paraphrase Nelson Mandela. He said, something can seem impossible until suddenly it isn't. And by hard work every single day, you can really make a difference. So thank you very much for acknowledging that.
Thank you, Roy.
Roy, we so appreciate you and the hard work that you do every day, and it really takes somebody to lead these volunteer efforts, and just thank you so much for all the work that you do. And we really appreciate it as a city and as a community, and we all benefit. And there's a lot of people that hike that trail and don't know, but maybe they know now. So thank you, Roy, for all that you do.
That's nice.
Thank you, everyone.
Right. Thank you, Roy.
Hi, Roy.
We'll get you that certificate and the frame certificate as soon as possible.
No worries.
Fred will be bringing it over to you. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. I love doing those. They're so wonderful. Thanks again to Amy for creating that idea. It's just so nice. Everybody just loves it. So it's so nice. On the consent calendar. So all items on the consent calendar considered to be routine will be acted upon by single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of council, staff, or public request specific items to be removed for separate action. At this time, council may decide to change the order of the agenda. So I would like to make a motion that we change the order of the agenda to move the city manager comments to now.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Agrimonti,
Aye.
Councilmember Dean,
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
You may now speak, David.
Thank you. I'm going to share a screen. Hopefully right now you can see a screen that says Community COVID Vaccine Clinic.
Yes.
Good. Okay. I'm going to scroll down. So the good news that the mayor's noting, the city, as well as a lot of great partners, Sonoma Valley Hospital, the Community Health Center, the Fire and Rescue District, the County Department of Public Health, Shell Vista Fire Protection District, and the Catalyst Fund have pulled together for this weekend a 75 and over COVID-19 vaccine clinic. And if you're 75 and over and you're sitting here watching the council meeting, jump to this website as soon as you can, and then come back to the council meeting. And if you have loved ones in your life that are 75 and older that you think may not have known this, maybe jump to the website too. It's sonomavalleyhospital.org /SVHP / right up here, because the spaces are filling up fast. And really quickly, it's this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday from 8 o'clock till 3 o'clock, but it's appointment only. There's 4 appointments, I think, every 3 minutes. We have enough capacity for about 1,000 people. So a lot of the spaces are filled, but some of them aren't. So again, drop everything if you're 75 and older or love someone who is, and go there and sign up. You just have to be a Sonoma Valley resident. We also say workers too, but I don't know how many people are working over 75. God bless you if you are. You're eligible too. So that's what I had to say, Mr. Mayor and council members.
Wonderful. it's so nice to start seeing vaccines finally rolling out and people getting access to them. It's, starts to make you feel like maybe we're starting to gain sight of the home stretch with this whole thing. So everybody go, and if you're in that age bracket, please sign up and get access to that vaccine and get it, because it's super crucial for our community and for the health of you individually and everybody else. So great. So move on to consent calendar. Does any member of council wish to pull an item off the consent calendar?
I'd like to pull 4.4.
Okay, we're pulling 4.4. Great. And we'll go ahead and open up consent calendar for public comment. Seeing no one rise for public comment. Oh, we got Fred Alabach rising for public comment.
Yes, I had wanted to pull this item as well. I don't know if now's my time to comment on it, but I'm curious if we can have a synopsis of what this means in simple English. But I don't know if it's the time now or if I comment after it's presented.
It'll be a regular agenda item now, basically. So
Okay.
it'll come up. There'll be a public comment period for it.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. Great. Anyone else rising for public comment on the close or on the consent calendar? Seeing no one rise, we'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. So we need a motion. I'll make a motion to approve items of the consent calendar except for item 4.4. So items 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3.
Second.
All right, roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Agrimonti,
Aye.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
All right, item 4.4. City Attorney?
Yes, in response to Mr. Albach's request, I'll briefly summarize the important points of this particular settlement. The backstory is that Mr. Bill Jasper, some of his companies and affiliated housing organizations sued the city when it denied 3 applications for larger homes in Shotgun Hill to the north of City Hall. The city retained outside counsel, the Dolores Dalton in particular, and she was able to convince the trial court that these lawsuits were not legally supportable, and the court essentially dismissed the major allegations in these lawsuits, and that generated settlement discussions with Mr. Jasper and his attorney, which have been going on for a goodly number of months. They've culminated in the document that's part of this consent calendar tonight, and the document basically provides that the lawsuit will be stayed, and Mr. Jasper will be given an opportunity to reapply for these 3 projects under certain development criteria, including downsized projects in terms of their size and the impact on the hill. They'll be subject to complete CEQA review, and the council will have the discretion whether to approve them as revised or not. If at the end of the day the council approves them as revised, then the lawsuit will be dismissed. Mr. Jasper will waive all lawyers' fees, as will the city, and the parties will go their respective ways. In addition, Mr. Jasper has agreed that if building permits are issued on any of the 3 projects that are approved, at that time he will contribute $50,000 to the Housing Trust Fund. Or if no applications for building permits are applied for within a particular period of time after the council approves these 3 projects, that same $50,000 needs to be paid into the city's Housing Trust Fund. If the council denies the 3 projects or any of them or imposes conditions that Mr. Jasper does not like, then he can reject the approvals, and the the original litigation will be resumed. Those are the essential terms and conditions of the settlement. Tonight, the council is being asked to approve them. They've already been approved by Mr. Jasper, and he has signed the settlement document. There's a little tweak in terms of identifying the properties that are subject to this particular settlement agreement, and Council Member Harrington will address that.
Okay, great. Councilmember Harrington.
I was gonna do it after public comment.
Okay, I will go ahead and open. Do we have any questions from council? We'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. Go ahead, Fred.
Thanks, Jeff, for that. That answered all my questions.
All right. Anyone else rising for public comment? We'll go ahead and close public comment. Bring it back to the council.
Great. Yeah, I would echo what Jeff said, that this was a lot of negotiation, and I'm glad that we're here today with this outcome. But I did notice the assessor's parcel numbers aren't specifically stated in the agreement, and they're maybe a little bit different than what was in the, maybe they've changed a little bit since the original filing. So just to be clear, I wanted to add the correct assessor parcel number to the settlement agreement, so that we know for sure which property we're talking about. And I guess we would, so I guess I would make a motion that we accept the resolution, I guess. Let me see what it is.
Adopt a resolution.
Adopt a resolution with the change that the assessor parcel number, the APN number be added to the settlement agreement with the, street address.
Second. Roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Agrimonti,
Aye.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Great. We'll move on to item 5.1, discussion, consideration, and possible action to adopt a resolution rescinding resolution 78-2018, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sonoma denying the appeal, approving the findings and adoption of a mitigated negative declaration for the Sonoma Gateway Mixed-Use Development Project located at 870 Broadway. David Storr.
I have to recuse myself. That's next door to my office.
Okay, bye, Amy.
Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. You may recall on December the 18th, the City Council approved the Gateway Project. The Gateway Project being a mixed-use development with 33 residential units, 8 of which were to be affordable to, low and moderate income households. And there was also 3,500 square feet of commercial. This project is located at MacArthur and Broadway at the northeast corner there. Your council adopted 2 resolutions, one that adopted the CEQA, or the environmental review and mitigated neg deck. See, now I can't say it. And the second resolution was for the use permit and tentative map. Subsequently to the city approving the 2 resolutions, the city became involved in litigation related to the CEQA action that was taken. The plaintiffs, FOBC, which stands for the Friends of the Broadway Corridor, retained the services of counsel who presented the city with a proposed settlement agreement, which was approved by the council in November of last year. In considering that settlement agreement, circumstances surrounding the project changed quite significantly. Number one, the developer had abandoned the project and had the option to purchase the property had expired, and the developer also had no legal counsel representing it. The current owner has no interest in developing the project as was approved, and neither the developer nor owner had agreed to indemnify the city for costs that we had to date, and also for those which we're going to be incurring in the future if the case is continued. And lastly, neither the developer nor the owner are willing to defend the case. Under the terms of the settlement agreement, the lawsuit would be dismissed with prejudice, and without trying to pretend to be a lawyer, that means that they won't be able to bring it back to court, but only if the city council does 3 things. Number one, the city council chooses to rescind the 2 resolutions that I mentioned earlier. 2, take action on a resolution to deny the project. And 3, direct the payment of $85,000 to FOBC's attorney for their legal fees. This concludes staff's report. Our recommendation is to approve the resolutions as presented. This concludes staff's report.
Thank you, David. Questions from council?
I think that is a good resolution because this is the older case. Right now, if they dropped, we got a chance, city got a chance, community got a chance, are looking for a new one, especially after this pandemic and everything changed. The mindset also changed. We really needed to thinking, what do we need for that in the specific location? That's truly the gateway for the city, just like this project mentioned. So the other thing is new. Right now, we just encouraging the local or out of state or anywhere, good investor, and the developer come to here. We want to see brand new project, and then we start it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. We'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. Seeing no one rise, we'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. Council member comments? Madeline, I can't hear you if you're
Yeah,
talking.
I think it leaves me. So I think I really am looking forward to this. You know, we've done a lot of work on all this, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. To all of you who worked hard on this, thank you very much.
Yeah, I just say this has been a long public process to get to this point. A lot of people in the public have questions around this project and that piece of property, because as Jack said, it's the gateway of Sonoma. So this is the old used car lot right there. That's been a used car lot for a long time. We had a developer come along, propose a project, got passed by planning commission, then to city council, then got sued and after it passed council. And so now we're in a place where, as Jack said, we're looking for a new developer for the site. And so we're excited to see a new project come forward that will meet the needs of the city. And so we're hoping to see that soon and excited to bring that forward. I'll go ahead and, do we have a motion?
We have two resolutions, so we need two separate motions.
Sweet, tell us about it.
The first resolution is a resolution to rescind the mitigated negative declaration and the decision of the council to approve the project. That's the first resolution.
Okay.
Motion to approve the first resolution. Should I read it?
No, I don't think you have to. It's the one that rescinds the previous actions of the council in December of 2018.
78-2018.
Okay.
The first one?
Yes, the one that rescinds 28-218 and 79-218.
Yes, and 79-228, 2018.
2018.
Second. Can we get a roll call vote?
Vice Chair Agrimonti,
Aye.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 301.
What's our second motion?
Second motion is to actually deny the use permit and tentative map applications submitted for this property.
Okay, I'd like to move to deny the tentative map applications and use permit for this property.
I second.
Great. Roll call vote?
Vice Mayor Agrimonti,
Aye.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 301.
Amy, if you're listening, please rejoin us. If not, let's have somebody text Amy so that she jumps back on. There she is. Rejoined us. Hooray. Moving on to item 6.1, consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding an appointment process for council vacancy. David Kiff, I'm so sorry. Got a lot of Daves in the city and
Way too many days.
too many Daves. So apologize, David Kiff.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen briefly here. And you folks have to be good about telling me to make sure the screen is moving, and it is. So this item is about a council appointment. And last time you met, you decided to go via the appointment process. And the proposal, just to remind everybody what's going on, Councilmember Hundley did resign as of yesterday, January 31st, 2021. So that means that the council needs to fill the position 60 days later. That happens to be April 1st, 2021. Hopefully you won't make an appointment on that day because I think that person will feel badly. They're appointed on April Fool's Day. But the meeting dates before then are February 17th, the March 1st, and the 15th. The proposal in the staff report is this, and certainly the council can adjust it any way it might like. Take public comment tonight, and then pick about 4 to 5 questions. And Rebecca, the city clerk, and I gave you in the public a list of questions. I could put those up too if you'd like to remind yourself what those look like. And we culled maybe 5 different cities appointment questions. You'll see a lot of them that kind of have the same themes. They're just said a different way. So you want to pick about 4 to 5 of those. And then those would go into an application that would be released tomorrow. The application's also on the city's, it would be on the city's website, but it's in the packet as to what it might look like. And then I propose closing the application period by February 11th. Again, that gives people 10 days plus to apply, ending it at noon. That way we can meet the packet deadline for the 17th. And then on the 17th, you would again take some public comment, and then you'd interview the candidates, likely everyone that qualified, and you could ask them the same questions as were in the application or new questions. And then at the conclusion of the interviews, kind of depending on what your mindset is, you could make an appointment that night, or you could think about it and come back at another meeting. So that's what's proposed. Yeah, and I'm going to stop screen sharing here. Again,
could you put the questions up, please?
Sure. Okay, it starts with kind of why are you applying? Why are you interested in this role? Second category is there's a lot of questions about experience. What do you have what have you done? What can you bring to this role? Then there's kind of a top issues category. A lot of cities ask that question. What do you consider to be the most pressing issues? How are you able to deal with it? What are your ideas for them? And then there's kind of a value and visions category. What vision do you have for the future of the city? And then there's approach questions in there. How would you handle a matter that had disparate points of view? And then there's kind of an other and catch-all. There's also an open-ended one. Please provide any other additional info or comments that the council may wish to consider. So I could either leave these up and you could pull from them, or I could go back and stop sharing here.
Great.
I can look at the packet on my computer separately. I don't know if anyone else wants them up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So certainly welcome your input. If you didn't feel specifically warm or cold about a specific issue, question, we could pull one from each category and that'd be it.
I think one of the ones I definitely want to ask is how many council meetings have you attended over the past 2 years? Some sort of allusion to that, just like how aware are they of council meetings?
Or I guess like in the similar vein, are we supposed to ask questions, take public comment, and then discuss, or are we asking questions now? Or is this considered part of questions?
I think we should take public comment first, I guess. I think that's not,
Just focus on questions here.
okay. Yeah, I don't have any questions. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't. I have more comments.
I don't.
Madeline, no? Okay, great. So we go ahead and open it up for public comment. If you have a public comment on this, please raise your hand and we'll bring you in. Seeing no one rise, we'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the council. All right. Great. Yeah. So I'll just reiterate. I think, do we want to go category by category? So category 1, reasons for applying. Does everybody have their agenda in front of them? Do we have any specific desire that one of these questions be the question that's asked in this category? Do we need more than one here in category 1, reasons for applying?
They're all pretty similar, but I like, why do you want to be appointed to the council?
That's my favorite too. Councilmember Ding, do you have an opinion on the category 1?
So far, so good. I don't have.
Okay. Madeline, do you have any strong opinions on category 1? I can't hear you because you're muted. So I guess
I'm fine.
okay, so then let's go with what do you want to be appointed? Why do you want to be appointed to council? Because 2 members of council want that one and the other 2 don't mind. So let's go with that. Category 2, experience, knowledge, and education research. Councilmember Agrimonti, did you have any opinions in category 2 as far as questions you'd like to have asked?
I think, oh, sorry. I think that what qualifications and experience do you have that can best serve the city, the Sonoma community, and its government? And another one, describe your background and qualifications. Attach your resume.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking like for that one that maybe we would just ask them to give their resume and they can put a cover letter if they want, but that kind of covers the topic. I don't know if people agree or disagree on that, but I mean, it seems like a question like, what's your resume?
Councilmember Ding, opinions on
Yes. Attaching a resume, that is the regular, we're not a bother, applicant, because, resume always ready every day. Yeah.
okay.
And easy.
So I'm hearing from council that we could just kind of have it attach a resume for category 2 and wouldn't need broader questions there.
Okay, so then to take that place, how about the second from the last? Please describe your background. Wait, no, got that.
Please identify and describe any community involvement and or your service on
Yes,
boards,
thank you.
committees in the city or elsewhere.
Yeah, that one.
Great. Cool. So are we comfortable with that question?
I think that's fine. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think,
Or maybe we can ask applicants, do you have any story and share with us related with Sonoma? Or say, I was visited in Sonoma and 10 years ago. Oh, I have a couple of relatives and lives in the Sonoma. And then in this way, and we can tell them and how he feels, like the Sonoma.
Yeah, I mean, one question I'd like to know sort of in connection with that is over the last, we could pick a period of time, over the last 2 years, which issues involving the city council have you been involved, have you participated in as a member of the public or a member of a committee? I mean, of the last couple of years, how have you been involved with the city council?
Madeline, are you comfortable with that kind of change to it?
Unmute.
Yeah, unmute, please.
Could you repeat? Sorry.
Amy just is saying, like, over the past 2 years or 4 years, what major issues come before the city council?
Oh, yes, that's fine. I like that. Thank you. Yes.
Do you like that better than the identify and describe any community involvement and or
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Jack, do you like that better as well?
I like.
Dave, Rebecca, we got that? Okay. Great. On to category 3, top issues. Councilmember Ding, any thoughts in category?
I think, yeah, that is the, overall, that is a communication issues between the city and the community. That is the number one. And then number 2, I think, the finance also, see if they have the strong finance background.
So do you think, like, Jack, what about the final question in category 3? What do you feel needs to be done to maintain and enhance the city's economic health, given the role that tourism plays in our local economy and city budget?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Want to ask that question?
Yes.
Okay. So that's kind of a finance question. And then you said communication.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington, do you have opinions in category 3?
I like Jack's comments. I agree with those. I'm just trying to make it so it's not too many questions, but I do like the question, what are your top 3 priorities for the city?
I like that one too. The other one I had highlighted is what issue do you understand better than most council members, and your understanding will add to the council's ability to deal with it.
That's good. Yeah.
I don't know, is there any opinion from staff about the optimal length of the questionnaire?
Let's take that latter question. What issue do you understand the most? If you're comfortable with a 1 or 2 sentence answer, I don't think that's very difficult for the candidates to fill out. If you're expecting multiple pages on each one, then it is.
I'd be fine getting rid of the what issue question and just saying, what are your top 3 priorities of the city? And then the financial budget question.
I agree with that.
Okay. So let's
That's
go
sort
there.
of like the umbrella.
Yeah, I like top 3 priorities because it's a very open question. And it forces them to kind of lay out some sort of agenda, which I think is a really a good piece. And then I think Jack's right. We should ask some sort of a budgetary question. And the final one works pretty well for me. Do we have broad agreement on that? Any questions?
I think so.
Yes.
Good. I'm seeing everybody nod. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So category 4, visions, values, approach. Councilmember Harrington, any views there?
I guess I kind of like the last one. If you could change one thing about how the city of Sonoma operates, what would it be and why?
Interesting. Okay. Councilmember Ding?
Yes, I agree with Amy.
Okay. For me, I really liked, I don't know, I kind of liked, please look 10 years into the future and describe what you want the community to look like and why. I kind of like that one, kind of the future vision. But in some ways, it's similar to the bottom one. It's like, what would you change? But again, this is a values, visions, and approach one. The other one that I highlighted that I like was, please give an example on how you would resolve a situation where your personal philosophy is at odds with what is best for the city. I like that question too. Madeline, Councilmember Montini, any thoughts on?
Yeah, I really like that one, the resolve. I think we've all been in that position.
Okay, so where do we want to go with number 4? We've got some kind of different views here.
Why don't we just put them both on and then at the end go down the list of what we have and decide if we want to keep them all or get rid of one?
Can staff compile a little list of, at least for category 4, because it's the only one where we have any kind of disagreement on?
Yeah, while we're just thinking about them, so it's the 3rd bullet, the 4th bullet, and the last bullet.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4, 5, and 7.
Okay. Category 5, Councilmember Agrimonti, thoughts on category 5?
Sure. The one I'm really interested in here is, let's see, what would you do if you were contacted by a resident or business directly to resolve a city-related problem? I feel that I'm very close to this issue, but I don't just say, okay, now here's what I think. I actually will go to the city manager and ask what the possibility might be, and then I would take it from there. I get calls about, well, we all get calls about code enforcement and things like that. So, there are some things I can do, but I pass it on. I would contact a director of a department and of course the city manager. And I can't make any decisions by myself, but it's certainly something I would like to make them aware of.
Madeline, are you giving people the perfect answer to that question? right now.
Well, then we're gonna find out who actually attends city council meetings.
Yeah, write that one down verbatim. They pretty much got it.
I'd like to add, do you plan to run for reelection if you are appointed to this category?
Interesting. The question I like is, what do you see as the role of the city council out of here? So we got 3 options here. Jack, do you have opinions on category 5?
Yeah, not really. Yeah, I think
Well,
go over the staff. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, could this be like one question? What do you see as the role of the city council, comma, and the role of the city staff?
Sure.
Oh, I don't guess it matters, but there's a big difference, and sometimes that line, people
To
go.
me, that kind of displays, the reason I like that question is it kind of is like, how aware are you of like how cities actually operate?
Right.
And I think, to be fair to people applying, you don't really, you learn a lot when you come into it. But I think having an understanding of where they think they have the ability to change things and where they realize they don't is
Mhm.
critical.
Oh,
That is right. Yeah.
you know what another question might be is how much time do you have available to spend on the city council?
Oh, right.
That is a good question. Yeah.
However, that would be worded more beautifully than the way I said it, but
What do we think about, Jack or Madeline, what do you think about asking if they want to run for council?
Who wants to? Oh, do
do they want to run for reelection?
Really. Disappointed.
Because they're being appointed.
Oh, that's right.
But after their appointment, Jack, they could run for election. So the question would be, would they run for election after their appointment period ends?
Mm-hmm.
Just because, obviously typically an incumbent has a advantage over everyone else. So we will be giving somebody an advantage in the upcoming election. So it might be good to know if they would plan to use that advantage to run again, or if they will not run. And I would see it as, I think it's kind of relevant in that the election just happened and Jack and I were the only people who filed. So now someone who could have just run didn't, but they will be getting the opportunity to run as an incumbent in a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I'm comfortable with that.
That is good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it being on there. It doesn't matter much to me if people want to run again or not, but
Well, it is America. But yeah, I get it.
yeah. Okay.
I just followed Rogan and talking about the role of the council member and the staff. Basically, all the council member as from the residents, neighborhood, the community. Yeah, we are not experts. We have the different. And as I say that, and the council member is not required any professional license or something, but they have passion. They have different voices. They know how. But at the same time, we should respect staff because the staff is trained, highly qualified, and speak in a different language. They speak in a professional, technical language. They just transfer and the city council's, so-called community language to technical language, and then they carry that out. This one, I think they should be very, very, the important point.
Yeah, I agree, Jack. I'm interested, because sometimes the roles get a little fuzzy, and I think there should be a clear understanding if somebody enters into the government to understand the different roles.
Well, I think for me, I'm looking for somebody who can hit the ground running with us, and I'd rather see somebody who can really take a lot of uptake, but that's for a discussion for a later time. So what I'm hearing is.
Does Dave have a list that we could look at maybe?
Yeah.
Can we see it?
Yeah, let me, I'm almost caught up.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm hearing in category 5 is we do want to see, what do you see as the role as the city council and of the city staff as a question? So there's a strong desire there. We want to see a question about, are you planning on running for reelection? And what would you do if you're contacted by a resident or business directly to solve a city related problem?
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with that.
Garrett.
There we go.
Okay.
And they
All
can
right.
just answer. I'll say what Madeline said.
Yeah, well, and Jack just gave a good answer on number 5 too. So Jack, you're appointed, and so is Madeline. So we're good there.
So a couple of these I just wrote on the fly, like the second bullet in category 2. Over the last 2 years, what issue have been interesting to you that have resulted in your attendance at council meetings? I could wordsmith that better.
Maybe just participation.
Okay.
I really like just resume. Let's just leave it like that. Just resume.
And then you guys were pretty clear on category 3. Category 4, you were clear about those. Category 5, I combined city council and the city staff roles. How much time do you have available to council service? I didn't know whether that was in or out. I was typing as you guys were
I
talking.
think that's an important question.
Okay, and then do you plan on running for re-election? Where did you guys land on that one?
Yeah, we said yes.
Okay. And did I miss any, Rebecca?
So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 questions. And a lot of these are really short, like do you plan on re-election? That's a 1-word answer. How much time do you have available for council service? That's like a 1-sentence answer. Longer term ones are the top 2 in category 5, I would say. Category 4 is all kind of longer answers. I mean, I think it's fair.
I don't think it will take longer to respond to these questions than it would to attend one city council meeting.
Fact. That's very true.
I think that if you're not prepared to spend that much time, you probably shouldn't apply.
Yeah, if this scares you off, you should not be applying for council. I agree with that. That's true.
Well, and it's a precursor for somebody who wants to run in the future that it would be valuable if they did attend meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps.
I think this looks cool. Do we need a motion to approve this, or?
Are we all comfortable with this? I guess that's what a vote's for, but
I am.
we vote?
Yeah, I'm comfortable. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, great. Madeline, you're good?
I'm very comfortable. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Harrington?
Looks great.
All right. Awesome. I love it.
Then if this is your direction, that's terrific. Are you also comfortable with the timeline I suggested?
My discomfort with the timeline is I would like 2 separate meetings where we do an interview meeting and then we do a selection meeting. I think it's really critical here because we aren't having an election to have as many times for public process and public comment as possible. So I think if we could get it in the first week of March, I think that would be pretty great. And that's a pretty quick process, frankly. So I think it's efficient and it allows enough time for public comment. So that's what I would say.
Oh, interesting. I actually feel the opposite. I think we should do it all at one meeting, that if we have 2 separate meetings, it leaves it open to people to lobby us or approach us. And also I feel like by putting your name in the hat and being interviewed publicly, it opens people. It's very daunting for most people to have their name in the public eye. So to wait to be scrutinized for multiple meetings, I think is an intense, I think that's pretty intense for the applicants. And I think it would probably be nicer for the applicants to have it over in one night. I think it's probably unappealing to worry about having to call and follow up and continue to be scrutinized for multiple weeks.
I just think like when you're on council, you're kind of scrutinized in the public eye for multiple weeks anyway. And so I would say, you're not having to do an election to get the role. I had to do 8 debates when I ran for council and multiple interviews with paper and things like that. So I don't think it's too onerous to ask you to wait a second meeting. And I think, I guess it's weird to say, but I think, having the public be able to call you and say, hey, I really like this person or whatever, that I don't think is necessarily a negative outcome. And the public to have two opportunities to make public comment of who they support, because right now it looks like it's, we bring up that we post the things publicly, then we have public comment, then we interview, then we decide. I feel like you want to have public comment after that interview time too.
Well, why couldn't we just set it up that way? You can have as many public comments as you want.
I don't know. What's the rest of council feel? Do you want to do a two-step process or a single meeting?
You know what? I'm okay either way. I don't have an opinion.
Okay.
Well, maybe what would we do at the, so we would interview at the first meeting, and then what would the second meeting be? Just public comment?
Yeah, I guess it'd be public comment and decision. But it gives the public, a week to marinate on it. It gives all of us a week to marinate on it. Because if we've got, let's say we have 10 applicants.
I agree with you. I think that is right. Because this is appointment, is not election. The residents all involved, but at this time appointed, but we try our best that more people get a chance to make the comments for the future appointed council member.
I feel. And talking to other people that have gone through this in other cities, the more that you have public process and public involved, the more comfortable public is with it not being an election. So for me, it's just kind of like, let's open it up as much as possible and give as much opportunity for public comment. So this is as open a process as we can get as an appointment process.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in an unfortunate position that we're in the position to pick somebody at all. And it would have been great if the person who solicited votes were willing to fulfill their seat. That'd be great. So, I mean,
Agreed.
yeah, be great if the process that the voters trusted would happen did happen, but here we are. So I don't know that we're going to have additional. I would imagine that anyone that wants to be appointed to the city council is going to marshal people to come make public comment on their behalf, and that there will be stories in the newspaper. And so I don't imagine that there will be, and it's easy to participate by Zoom. So I don't think that there's a whole swath of people that are gonna, find out about it after the interviews, go back, rewatch the interviews, and then call in support of their candidate 2 weeks later. I don't think that is likely.
I do think that there's a lag time a lot of times with decisions that council makes. And so I think that, there'll be the meeting, an interview, an article about the meeting and the interviews, and then selection is happening at this meeting. And so if there's like, oh, shoot, I didn't realize that this process was even happening, it just hit the papers, and that kind of stuff happens all the time with decisions. And you get calls, after, I remember with the 5G process, there was like, that had been going on for years. And at the end of the process, a decision was made, it came out in the paper, and I got an email from people who disagreed with the decision that was made and wanted to see more 5G. And it's like, well, we hadn't seen you for the past 2 years, and now you're making a comment. So I think that I would rather take more time. And so.
Can we see the process again? The timeline?
Sure, hold on just a second here. Can you see this okay?
Yeah, thanks.
So, yeah, applications by the 11th in time for your meeting on the the 17th. Remember, we meet on a Wednesday that week.
Mm-hmm.
And then go from there.
So would the person be seated, when we pick somebody, I'm just trying to think, how many meetings would we go without having a full council when would the person be seated?
If you chose to make the appointment on the 17th, that person's first meeting would be the 1st of March.
Mhm. And if we waited until March, would it be at that meeting or would it be at the next meeting?
You could, depending on whether this was at the beginning of the meeting or the end of the meeting, you could appoint them on March 1st. They could have the packet in advance. I mean, everybody has the packet in advance, the public
Yeah.
does, and they could start to vote on the remaining items.
Yeah, and I would have this be the first item on the agenda
Mm-hmm.
on the 1st of March.
We would need to swear them in, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion here, move to approve the questions that we have for the application as described by council and the process with a March 1st date for approval.
Second. Oh, sorry.
Fine. It's fine.
Roll call vote?
I'm sorry, was that Madeline or Vice Mayor Agrimonti?
Yes, that said the second.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Agrimonti,
Aye.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Okay, great.
So then the application will be available online tomorrow?
That's right.
Okay.
Probably a little bit, not right at 8 o'clock.
And then
Well,
are people gonna, just so if whoever's watching knows, it'll be available sometime tomorrow and then they turn it in online to you, Rebecca, or who do they turn it into?
They can turn it in person through to my attention at City Hall or via email. So
And
to
then
my
City-
attention.
The city hall is closed, so they'll have to bring it in an envelope and drop it off.
Correct. But make sure they mark it, attention, please.
Attention, Rebecca Barr, city clerk.
We'll make sure that's clear in the application. Use the mail slot, make it to the attention. I think that's a little bit safer than mail in case it doesn't make it by, say, noon on the 11th.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Thank you.
And they live in the city, so
Right?
shouldn't be that hard.
Do we need to have a press release that more people know that, or?
I'll work with Sarah Tracy on that to make sure people are aware. We'll do it on our social media channels and our emails.
That's great.
And just one other thing, the email, make sure you send it to my direct email, not to public comment or to city council. It needs to go to rbarr@sonomacity.org. So it's my direct email.
You want to put it in the chat?
I will.
Yeah, great, awesome. Moving on to 6.2, consideration, discussion, and possible action to make appointments to the City of Sonoma Community Service Environment Commission, Culture, Fine Arts Commission, Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission, Planning Commission, and Traffic Safety Commission. City Clerk.
Yes, and I just put that to panelists and not all. Sorry. Get that finished. There. So good evening, Mayor and Council. As the Council is aware, appointments are made according to the Council's Commission appointment policy every 2 years. And when we implemented the policy, we actually did a random draw of the order in which each of you would choose for each. So that order is may be different for each commission. And tonight we're going to consider each commission separately and individually. And if I may, I'd like to share my screen and show you one of the matrices that we'll be using this evening. This is the Planning Commission matrix, and the Planning Commission is a 7-member board, and each council member makes an individual commission appointment. And because Mayor Harvey and Vice Mayor Agrimonti had already made their appointments when they were elected, Their appointees will not be reappointed. These follow their term, the council members or term. So tonight it will be Councilmember Dean and Councilmember Harrington making appointments, and you can see it blocked out Vice Mayor Agrimonti and Mayor Harvey. That's why. So besides the 2 individual appointments that'll be made this evening, there are 2 at-large and 1 alternate. And for these positions, they're appointed by a majority of the council. In the case of the Planning Commission, the way that works, Councilmember Harrington will tell us who she's appointed, and then Councilmember Dean will tell us who he is appointing. Those individuals get crossed off the list down below because they're no longer eligible for an at-large or a alternate position. We'll be going back and we'll be doing the direct appointments first, and then we'll be going back and doing the at-large. And when we do that, again, we'll start in the same order with Councilmember Harrington. The recommendations for the at-large member can be chosen from the middle group. On the form, we tried to make this as streamlined as possible, so I'm sorry if it's a little bit confusing. I hope we've mitigated that a bit. So they can be chosen from the middle group for one of the at-large members, as well as the alternate, because both of those positions are required to be that's not accurate. But these are the eligible appointees for the at-large and the alternate. And then after that, we'll go to the at-large for the Valley seat. And again, it's interesting because you'll see all people are listed again because everyone is eligible for that at-large seat. They do not have to be a Valley resident, but one position can be. So what I've done is I have separated in the bottom group their Valley, and they're eligible for one large position, and it's not required to be a Valley resident. But I did, any Valley residents that did apply, I separated them with this line. So you'll see Sheila O'Neill was the only Valley resident that applied for the Planning Commission. And let's see. So that's pretty much we'll go through each of this for each of the commissions and committees. A couple of things I'd like to clarify from the staff report that are the Design Review and Traffic Safety Committee are only 5-member boards. In the staff report, it says that there will be 2 at-large members. That is not actually accurate because they are 5-member boards. So you have your direct appointee and you have 1 alternate. One of the direct appointees can be a Valley resident. The alternate still cannot be a Valley. If you only can have 1 on the commission. The second thing is that on the CFAC, we have a member listed as I think it was Michael Freitas had turned in an application. And though he was qualified to be a Valley resident, in the last round of appointments, Vice Mayor Agrimonti appointed a Valley resident as her direct appointee. And so we can only have 1 resident. And since that commissioner is still serving, they would all have to be members of they would all have to be qualified electors. Again, my apologies for not catching these items when staff report was presented. We do this so rarely that I need to go back and listen to the prior meeting each time. As you're aware, Councilmember Hundley submitted a resignation letter effective yesterday. So per the council's policy, her appointees will continue to serve until they're replaced. So when the new council member who's appointed to her term is sworn in, then they will make their own appointment, and a recruitment period will be opened at that time for those appointees. And with that, if the council has any questions regarding the process, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, we can proceed with the first commission.
I have a question. How do we do public comment on these, or do we do public comment?
That is a very good question. When I was reviewing, what I thought would happen, Councilmember Harrington, is that after each commission, when the appointments were stated, then we would go to public comment. But in reviewing the last time that we did this, there actually was no public comment on the appointment. So that is a question. I think that's
Are
a
we
question
required,
for.
Jeff? Do we have to do public comment?
You do, and
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
We're improving. We're getting
yes,
better.
now it seems to me, is there a way to have the public comment take place just once before any of the appointments are considered? Would that work?
Who's that question to? Rebecca?
It's to the council, really.
Oh.
You can have one public comment before you take any action on all of these various bodies, or you can split it up and have public comments before you make selections on each of them. I would recommend you have one public comment to address all of the potential appointees.
As would I.
That is good.
I think that sounds great. And then, do we have to take a vote on that, or are we just, it's procedural, we don't?
It's up to the mayor unless he is overridden by a majority of the council.
I'm fine with one public comment.
Okay, and then my second question is, I guess I'm a little bit confused about Councilmember Hundley's appointees, because she did not just get, I thought the terms were tied to election terms and that her appointees had the same term as she did so that they would continue to serve. But is the rule that if you resign or are removed that your people also lose their term? I thought that their terms extended through 20. Anyway, what could you just clarify what that rule is?
That is actually a good question. And with this policy, I will share, we are learning as these situations are coming up, what we need to add and what we don't. I did speak with Jeff earlier in the month about that they would continue to, because the way the policy is written, and I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it says that they will continue to until the replacement is named. And I'm paraphrasing that. And that was when that got put into the policy, the reason for that is this exact instance. You don't have a period of time where you have a commission that just stops having a member of their commission. That way they continue to serve until they are the next person is appointed.
I think that was a different, maybe got written that way, but I think what we were saying is that if for some reason the appointments which took place in conjunction with the change of terms didn't happen fast enough, that they would be a holdover from term to term, but not in the middle being replaced, not having their term shortened because a city council member resigned. But I do know that we said we would want them to continue on until a new person was replaced, but I don't think we ever said a council member quitting or being kicked off would trigger because I think we have a policy in place that it requires 4 out of 5 people to vote somebody off to shorten their term as a commissioner. That's my recollection.
The policy in front of us. I don't have it either. It's probably online, is it not? We'll take some time while you're cogitating on who to select here. See if we can track it down online.
Okay, because I think that's what it is that to shorten their term, it requires a 4/5 vote, or, to remove a commissioner requires a 4/5 vote, and really we would be removing them from the period of their term that they were appointed to. Something like that.
Is that like a legal term? Something like that?
Yeah. It's actually a legal disclaimer. All right, so I guess those are my questions. I don't know if anyone else has any.
Could I ask, Jeff, I'm sorry, but what's the expression? Because if the council member picks this commissioner, it's at the will of the council member, not the council. I mean, they all approve.
My recollection of the policy is that the term of office of an appointee is coterminous, is the same as the term of office as the council member who appointed him or her. So that if in fact a council member does resign mid-term, then the term of his or her appointees also terminates at that time. Now, Councilmember Harrington raises an interesting point because there is a municipal code section that talks about removal and that requiring a supermajority vote, as I recall, or some affirmative action of the rest of the council. So there's a bit of a tension between the two, but I don't believe that the policy of the council was limited just to situations where the council member, just at the end of the council member's term, for example, not running for re-election and the term ending in that fashion. I think it included resignations, but I don't remember specifically.
I actually, the policy, it says, let's see, in short, there will be a separate appointment order for each of the Group B commissions, which shall remain in place until changed by vote of the members of the council. In the event that a single council member resigns, fails to be a oh wait, isn't it? That's the position that says that the individual coming in will take their spot in the rotation. Sorry, I know we just looked at this, Jeff. Now I'm like,
I don't have any recollection at all. I mean, maybe it got thrown in there as boilerplate, but I don't think we talked about people resigning, but maybe we did.
Well, and then like, for example, Jack, if you were picked, you came in, let's say after somebody resigned, I feel that you would compelled and would welcome being able to choose commissioners, you know, that you feel would do a good job. And of course, the council would then either say yes or no. So I guess I think it should go with, you know, the term of the person, even if it involves that short term of a resignation.
Because I was thinking it would be more fair if it was the person the voters elected who selected the commissioners as opposed to a person the council selected picking commissioners, but
this is
it's the other side of the coin.
This is the actual place I was looking for. Commissioners serve until replaced, notwithstanding the fact that a commissioner's term of office may have otherwise expired pursuant to the policies adopted herein. That commissioner shall be entitled to attend the meetings of the commission on which he or she serves, participate as a regular member of that commission, vote on all items brought before the commission, and otherwise just discharge the duty and perform the of regular member until the person who will replace the commissioner has been sworn in and assumes the full duties of regular member of the commission. And it directs you in the policy to section 6A, individual council member appointment, terms of office tied to council member's term of office. Any person appointed to a Group B commission by an individual council member shall have a term of office commencing upon being sworn in and ending when the term of the appointing council member ends. So I guess that could be, when we wrote that as staff, that was we had not addressed a resignation as far as that portion. So
Well, I hear that to say that your term is the same length as the term of the person that selects you. So 4 years in the case of Councilmember Hundley's appointments, and the language about continuing on is in the event that somebody doesn't run for re-election and the person is still in that seat, that they stay on until another person is selected. That's how I hear that. Anyway, it doesn't have to be decided tonight. It can be decided at another time, I guess,
I
right?
hear it the same way that Councilmember Harrington does too, because it says until that person's term ends, and even though Councilmember Hundley's term has not ended technically, right? Her term goes another 2 years.
No, her term is ended. She's done.
Okay.
And
She has not completed her term. The term of any person who would have been elected in that election is 4 years.
So that means every appointee serves at least 4 years. And I don't think that's not the purpose of that rule. But certainly if that's what the council wants to interpret it as, that's fine.
I think that was the purpose of the rule, that it would run. We did not discuss the idea of someone resigning, so I don't think we've ever had that discussion, and we could change it if people wanted something different. But I think that pretty plainly says that it goes with the term, which is not how long you choose to serve, but the term of the length of the elected office. But anyway, it doesn't have to be decided tonight, right? Because we're not talking about replacing anybody tonight, right?
We're not addressing her appointees tonight, no.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can just get more clarity before we deal with that.
Let's see, if we construed it that way, would that mean then that the newly appointed council member would not have an opportunity to appoint the people that would normally replace Councilmember Hundley's appointees. So this
We have
new person that you select would not be able to appoint anybody on the commission.
Right, so
Yeah.
that the commissioners who were the appointees of Councilmember Hundley would not, you know, obviously the new person could pick whoever they wanted, but they wouldn't have the term that they thought they were going to have shortened by council because Councilmember Hundley quit.
Yeah.
They would get the full term that they thought they were getting.
And the two, and also, you know, if you do a direct election and things like that, even if we went to an election versus direct appointment, you have a shortened term as a council member because it's within the term of that seat. So I think it runs with the seat. I agree with that interpretation. I think that's what it's meant. If there's a desire among council to change that, I'm happy to. That's what makes sense to me. I mean, I'm happy if Jeff wants to do more research. And
Well, you know, and I actually am comfortable with completing the term. I come from a place where at will means I'm gone, you're all gone. So now I understand, because at this level, it doesn't seem palatable. It doesn't feel comfortable that someone thinks they're going to be there for 4 years and they're taken out. Working for,
or they have to reapply. It just seems kind of
Right.
insulting.
So working for legislators, you're sort of used to it, you know,
Yeah.
you're used to knowing that happens. So I guess I'm more comfortable with you, Councilmember Harrington and Mayor Harvey. So I'm comfortable now.
are you sure?
Yeah.
I am.
It's fine with me. Yeah, we
And
try
you
to
also.
make less changes. I don't want to see too much changes. And also we need to respect, you know, they service the 2 years already, let them to continue, because, you know, this is a small town. It's not, you know, big population or so much, you know, power or whatever.
I agree.
So maybe from what I'm hearing, we could bring back a policy, just an update to the policy to clarify that based on council's direction tonight or council's thoughts tonight, and then you can consider that at that time at a later meeting, if that's acceptable.
Well, it's interesting, you know, it's positive in a couple of ways for with this resignation, because it actually opens up this issue of a policy.
Yeah, I actually read it to say that already, but if we could have something clarifying saying that in the event that somebody resigns in the middle of their term, that the commissioners will be allowed to complete their term, something like that.
I think that's good that it's, I think
That's good.
that it's written out then.
Yeah.
Clarification would be good. All right. Should we do public comment and then come to the issue at hand? All right, we'll go ahead and open public comment. We got Matt Metzger.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, Matt.
Hey, I don't know why, but I don't have video. It doesn't let me have video. Anyway, I just wanted to say I was interested in reading the applications, the other applicants. I just wanted to point something out that I found curious, that I don't really ever recall seeing when I applied. So I applied for the Community Services and Environment Commission. I don't recall seeing anywhere on the application length of residency. And yet it appears on a lot of the people's applications, but it doesn't appear in other people's applications. So I just wanted to point that out to you. Length of residency, it's unclear in the application process whether we have to state that. Anyway, I've lived in Sonoma for 30 years and raised my children here. I wanted to thank Councilmember Ding for reaching out to me. And I also wanted to thank the City Council for hiring Travis Wagner. We've worked with him on the commission, and he has really provided a lot of excellent professional advice. He's extremely knowledgeable and qualified. He's made our job a lot easier. We're working on a task force looking at funding for bicycle and pedestrian facilities in the city. I'm looking forward to making a report to the city council about that, assuming I get appointed. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Next we have Terry Shore.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Harvey, City Council members, staff, members of the public, Terry Shore, 515 Hopkins Street, Sonoma. I'm very impressed with the applicants that you have for all these various commissions and committees. I'm so thrilled that we have such an active community in the city of Sonoma and Sonoma Valley. I would just like to make specific statements of support for the Community Services and Environmental Commission. And I would like to urge you to please appoint Nancy Evers-Kirwan. She would be a great asset to that commission. She's very involved in the community. She does good follow-up. She has good vision. She works well with others. So I know she's on the list to be considered. I also would like to support the appointment of Matt Metzler to that same commission. He just spoke up. He's very active and proactive on that commission. I would also urge you to consider, as you go forward as much as possible to diversify the appointments and candidates to all the commissions so we can have a little more diversity and equity, maybe some younger people, people of color, and go out and try to mentor them and bring them in. And folks who have been on the commissions for a very long time, maybe some of those folks should voluntarily step down and let new and younger people step in on these commissions and committees. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to seeing what you decide.
Thank you, Terry. All right, any other people rising for public comment? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and bring it back to council. Rebecca?
All right, then, if there's no further questions, we'll go ahead and start with the Planning Commission.
Do you want to share your screen as we go through this? Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. I think I'm going to change my view so it's a little bit easier to navigate. Okay. So, as you can see, the order is for the Planning Commission is Councilmember Harrington, Councilmember Dean. I'm sorry. With this one, it'll be Planning Commission overall. It'll be Harrington, Councilmember Harrington, Mayor Harvey, Vice Mayor Agrimonti, and Councilmember Dean. But because only Councilmember Harrington, Councilmember Dean are making direct appointments, they're the only ones that we'll deal with right now. So with that being said, Councilmember Harrington, who is your appointment?
Oh, I just wanted to say I reviewed all of the applications and I was so honored for our city that so many qualified people applied. I'm going to reselect my pick from last time, Kelso Barnett. Kelso has served 4 years on the Planning Commission, or maybe a little bit less because we changed the method 3 years ago. But, I look forward to him serving for another 4 years, and he's done a great job. And thank you, Kelso Barnett.
Okay. And Councilmember Dean?
I would like to direct appointment for the Larry Barnett, because these years we do have a project protecting Sonoma's environment and the UGB group. We meeting so many times. Also, I learned a lot from him. And 20 years ago, he initiated UGB in the Sonoma. And 20 years later, and he did it again. So it impressed me a lot. So now I see that is the best example for us in Sonoma. I want to, keep support him. We can work together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll remove them. I removed them from the next appointment. That puts us on to the at-large. We'll do the at-large first, and then the alternate. This is the at-large that is not the Valley resident. So, in that being said, Councilmember Harrington.
Okay, so just to clarify, we will after this pick a Valley or non-Valley for the There's 2 at-larges and one is yeah. Okay. I would nominate Ron Wellander.
Do we pick 2 or we pick 1?
Let's do the at-large right now just for clarification, this is the at-large that is required to be a qualified elector.
And I guess I'll just say, for anyone who doesn't know Ron, I think we all do, but he's a landscape architect. He's very involved in town. He has been a member of this community for many, many years and served as a really great addition to the Planning Commission. And I think he's super valuable and talented, and also an incredibly nice person. So.
Okay. Mayor Harvey?
I'd also choose Ron Wellender, work closely with him on our development code update, and really fantastic guy and just really knowledgeable of our planning code and our development code. So I'd keep Ron on there.
Okay. Councilmember Vice Mayor Agrimonti?
Ron Wellender as well. I mean, he has wonderful experience, and I think he brings a different perspective to the commission.
Okay. And Councilmember Dean?
Also, I choose the Ron Wellender.
Okay. So for the at-large position, Ron Wellender has it. Moving to the alternate, Councilmember Harrington?
Can you, okay, I just want to, sorry. So the screen that we're looking at says eligible for at-large or alternate, but we're actually picking it and an alternate?
Yeah, those members are eligible for either position. We just picked the at-large and now we need an alternate. So it's the same individual.
So it's two from this category?
Yes.
Okay, so I will nominate Robert McDonald. Bob has so much experience planning. He is a passionate advocate for our town. I wish that we had a non-alternate seat for Bob because he deserves to be a permanent member, but there are no seats available for that purpose. But Bob McDonald is such a treasure, and I'm so glad that he reapplied to be on here.
Okay. Mayor Harvey?
I'll choose Ahmad Jerome. I think it's important that we get new members of our commissions and give people a new shot. And reading through Ahmad's application, I thought that he's extremely well qualified and, seemed to be a wonderful addition to the Planning Commission.
Okay. Vice Mayor Agrimonti?
I also choose Ahmad Jerome.
And Councilmember Dean?
I choose a Robert Madonna.
Okay, so we are in a tie. Would someone like, how do you want to proceed with that? Would you like to discuss it?
What's the procedure, Jeff?
This obviously is no action, so the council can do another vote.
Or can we wait until the new person starts?
Yes, I guess that person would be entitled to vote for this position, correct?
I think so.
Correct.
Okay.
Or we can wait till then.
So the you want to have the current alternates continue to serve until that point.
That's our rule.
Then moving on to the other at-large position, which can be either a Valley resident or a city qualified elector. And as I stated, the only individual who was a Valley resident is Sheila O'Neill, who is the current appointment.
Okay.
Am I still first?
Yes, I'm sorry, Councilmember.
I will vote for Sheila. Sheila's doing a great job. She's been on there for 3 years. She does a really good job with community outreach. I think Sheila is maybe our only woman on the Planning Commission at this time, and I don't see any other applicants. So I would like to have some ladies on there as well.
Yeah, I'll also choose Sheila. There's no other options, but I also think that Sheila's doing a fantastic job, and I think it's great that we have a woman on there. One of the reasons I voted for Ahmad as well is because it'd be our first person of color, as far as I know, on the planning commission. I think that would be important to do as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Agrimonti.
Sheila O'Neill.
All right. And Councilmember Dean.
Sheila O'Neill.
So that concludes the planning commission. I have, just for clarification, I have direct appointment. Councilmember Harrington is Kelso Barnett. Councilmember Dean is Larry Barnett. Ron Willender will serve as the first alternate position, and Sheila O'Neill will remain as the Valley resident. And we are holding the alternate position until a new appointment is made of a council member. So moving on, the next will be the CSEC, and this order is Councilmember Harrington. At first, again, it's and this will be the order all the way through, but it just happens to be our two direct appointees first. It'll be Councilmember Harrington, Councilmember Dean, Mayor Harvey, and then Vice Mayor Agrimonti. So with that being said, Mayor or Councilmember Harrington, your direct appointee.
Great. All right. Do you have a sheet you're going to put up?
It's here.
No, I mean, can you put it on our screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was sharing. Am I not sharing?
You're still on the planning commission one. I think you have to stop sharing and reshare.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry about that. Let me redo that. I'm like, it looks good to me. Okay. You see that?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to select John Donnelly. And he has extensive background in recreation, and I am really thrilled that he applied, and I think he will be a real compliment to the work that Karen Collins is spearheading, and I am happy to appoint him.
Thank you. Councilmember Dean, your appointment?
Matt Zilla.
Okay, so wait, got up here.
Uh,
And Matt.
Yeah, he just represents community a lot and very knowledgeable and also very, very passionate. And he knows a lot of the local, the environmentalists, and also he also wrote some articles. And also he can demonstrate his leadership. I very much appreciate his continued participation.
Thank you. So we will move to the first at-large position, and that the next group are the individuals that are eligible for that at-large position as well as the alternate. But we'll start with the at-large position. Councilmember Harrington.
Rebecca, could you delete the ones that are not?
Yep.
Thanks. Sorry.
Too many things. You're doing too many things at once. There you go.
One at large and one alternate. Okay. Hang on one sec. I will pick Angelo Sassy.
Okay, for your at-large. Councilmember Dean.
Also Angela Sassy.
All right. Mayor Harvey.
Also select Angelo Sassy.
Thank you. And Vice Mayor Agrimonti.
I was Richard Weiss or Weiss.
Okay. It looks like Angelo Sassy is the chosen appointee, with three appointments. So going to the alternate, we're going to remove him for a minute. Councilmember Harrington for the alternate position.
Richard Weiss.
Okay. Let me put an A. Councilmember Dean.
That is at large or
alternate.
This is
need in the city limit, right? Yeah, yes.
Yeah, in the limit. So it's between Gabriel Lanús and Richard Weiss.
On Richard.
Richard Weiss, okay. Mayor Harvey,
Richard Weiss.
great. And Councilmember Agrimonti, I'm assuming you would like to keep Richard Weiss?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And
Okay. Yes.
looking at my notes, I voted backwards from what I had originally intended to vote. Is there a way to, I meant to vote for Mr. Sassy as the alternate and Mr. Weiss as the regular. Is there a way to recall that vote?
I believe so. Jeff, is there?
Certainly, you could simply say that you'd like to change your vote.
Oh, okay, I would like to change my vote, as I just described, with Mr. Sassy as the alternate and Mr. Weiss as the regular.
Okay, so.
Sorry, I apologize.
That's okay. So we're gonna do, let me make sure we're reflecting this correctly. So does that reflect, oh, right here, I'm gonna remove that. So you now have Angela Sassy and Richard Weiss, both 2 for alternate and 2 for at large. They're
No.
both tied.
Angelo Sassy would be my vote for alternate, and Richard
Right.
Weiss is my vote for at large.
Okay, so we have the same instance where we have the 2 and 2. So you have, for at large, you have Richard Weiss, Councilmember Harrington, and Councilmember Agrimonti, and Angela Sassy with Councilmember Dean and Mayor Harvey. And then you have the exact opposite for the alternate for Richard Weiss.
Would either of you consider switching so that Angelo Sassy was the alternate and Richard Weiss was the permanent?
Yeah, I agree to that.
But you can't, Madeline. It won't matter if you do it. So I'll switch my vote. That's fine.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor Harvey.
So Logan, you said yes? I'm sorry, Mayor Harvey? Okay, so we're going alternate and, is that correct? Is that how you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. And so moving on to the at-large position that can be a Valley person. Again, I have delineated between who is
Who's gone?
And who is Valley as a, oh wait, who did I, yeah, they're both gone. So Councilmember Harrington.
I will vote. It's a very hard decision here, obviously, but I'm going to vote for Nancy Kirwan. She was a leader on the UGB and an environmental leader. Again, we picked all men tonight. I'm happy to pick a woman with a long history of activism. I wish that we could pick 2 people because I would also pick Fred because I think he's done a great job and is obviously such an incredible participator, but I can't pick 2. So I'd like to give Nancy Kirwan a chance.
Okay. Councilmember Dean?
I would, yeah, it's very hard because it's a little bit confusing. I was, because Nancy Kirwan, and I wanted to choose because she's working with my UGB group. But however, and Fred, I was thinking, it's a long time supporter. We support each other.
Oh.
Is there any possible switch from the, at large, because they are all out of the city limit, right?
Yeah, I think we can only pick one person from outside of city limits under our current policy. So it has to be one or the other.
Or you can pick Gabriel.
Or you can pick
yeah.
Gabriel.
Say again?
It
could be
Nancy. You have to vote for either Fred, Nancy, or Gabriel.
it's hard for me. Yeah.
I know, it's so hard.
It's really, but I would like to. Yeah, it's hard for me. Yeah, so because I was thinking I can choose both, and then Nancy and Fred.
Can we give him time to think, or we have to stay here?
We can pass to you, Ms. Councilman Agrimonti. Would you like to make a decision?
Actually, it's Mayor Harvey next.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Sorry.
I'll pass to Madeline.
Oh. Okay.
I wish I had known you could pass. All right.
I hand this over to the kind gentleman of Sonoma, Mayor Harvey.
So one of you you all each passed each other now. So
I'll take it. I will vote Fred Alleback.
Okay.
I'll also vote for Fred. It's an extremely difficult decision, but I think Fred's been on the commission for a long time, and he's done a good job there and really led the charge in a lot of different ways. And I think Nancy's a fantastic environmental activist and a wonderful person as well, but I'm going to go with Fred tonight.
Okay, then that leaves Councilmember Dean.
Yeah, okay. That is the. All right. Yeah, that is the. I believe. No, it's really hard. Yeah, both of us. Okay.
This is what you're getting paid those $5 for.
I want to, because it's a long time, commitment. With the Fred, so I choose the Fred. I'm very sorry for the Nancy, and also the Nancy. I, talked with her in a long time, and even a couple days ago I discussed with her, so that she definitely is the. So I'm not sure how we can create one and for her. Yeah. So because I really don't want to see and tied again and find another job as well. Yeah.
Good
Okay.
decision.
Okay.
So
all right.
Before we move forward, I have as Councilmember Harrington's direct appointment, it's John Donnelly. As Councilmember Dean, it's Matt Metzler. For the first at-large position, I have Richard Weiss, and the alternate is Angelo Sassi, and Fred Alleback as the second at-large Valley. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing.
In honor of Sassy, it's Angelo.
Angelo. Oh.
Just,
Hey. So then
his kids could be hopping around right now.
We will go to the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission. And for this rotation, it'll be Councilmember Dean, Mayor Harvey, Councilmember Harrington, and Vice Mayor Agrimonti. But again, for the first appointments, it's just the direct. So we will start with Councilmember Dean. Who's your appointment?
All right. That one is George Thompson.
Okay. Doesn't want to.
George did a lot of their community work. I received many recommendations and supported emails, phone calls, and a text message, even the meeting requests.
Okay. Councilmember Harrington, your appointment?
Deb Emerson.
Okay. Thank you. Now we will move to the at-large and the alternate, starting with the at-large position. Councilmember Dean.
At-large, that is the Francine Ward.
Let's take her out. Okay, thank you. And Mayor Harvey.
Also choose Francine Ward.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Harrington?
I will also choose Francie Ward.
Okay, and Vice Mayor Agrimonti?
I also will go with Francie Ward.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you so much.
That's nice.
And the alternate, for the alternate, Councilmember Dean?
Okay, that is the alternate. Oh, it's here.
There. What was that? Did I miss your appointment, Councilmember Dean?
For the, in where? In the, under the one at large or an alternative?
This is for the alternate, and Francie's
okay.
already the at-large.
Okay. I already choose the Francie Ward, right?
We got to choose, and then we're going to choose one more at large, correct, Rebecca?
I see. Yeah, that is really confusing. And
Isn't that the alternate?
We're choosing
Ryan
alternate right now, and then next
Ryan.
at large.
Ryan Smule.
For the alternate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mayor Harvey?
Also choose Ryan Smule.
Wrong letter. Councilmember Harrington?
Same.
And Vice Mayor Agrimonti?
Same.
Thank you. All right, so moving to the at-large for the Valley, we didn't actually have anyone that was strictly Valley. So let's take these individuals off. So starting with Councilmember Ding for the other at-large position.
Constance.
Okay.
Same for me.
Okay, and Councilmember Harrington?
Same.
And Vice Mayor Agrimonti?
The same.
Great, thank you so much. So just to read for the direct appointments, Councilmember Ding is George Thompson and Councilmember Harrington is Deb Emerson. The at-large position is Francie Ward and Ryan Small is the alternate and Constance Schleling is the other alternate position. So moving right along, we will go to the design review and historic preservation. So the order is Councilmember Dean, Councilmember Harrington, Mayor Harvey, and Vice Mayor Agrimonti. So with that,
whole time, this thing's rigged.
Councilmember Dean, your direct appointment.
Kelly Armour.
Okay. And Councilmember Harrington, your direct appointment.
Carrie Burt.
Thank you. So then that leaves for the at-large position. And again, this is, we only have, or I'm sorry, this is the alternate position because we only have one position that can be either they can be either Valley or not Valley on this, and that can be, but we're going to go to the alternate first. And the eligible person for the alternate is Ahmad Jaharami.
Wait, I'm confused. Why are the other people,
considered for
why is Michaelia Randolph not? Oh, because that's, she's not really on here.
Yeah.
So
Okay, sorry.
wasn't Ahmad somewhere else, didn't he?
He was for planning commission and he's in a tied position right now for planning commission.
Oh,
So all of the people who applied do not reside in the city of Sonoma except for Kelly, Terry, and Ahmad. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
So then wouldn't Kelly, Terry, Linda, and Ahmad all be eligible for the alternate?
Yes, I'm sorry. Linda Bloom, let me,
Linda, it says on the thing that she's not a resident.
Oh, she's
On the, oh, correct.
So Kelly and Terry were just picked, so that left Ahmad as a city, and he's the only one who's a city resident. Which I guess the alternate has to be. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
So with that, Councilmember Dean,
I will choose among.
okay. And Councilmember Harrington,
So will I.
Mayor Harvey,
It's a tough decision here. There's a lot of really qualified candidates. And I appreciate everybody who is qualified and is a city resident, but I will also choose Ahmad Charomi.
and Vice
Ahmad,
Mayor Agrimonti.
Ahmad as well.
So Madeline, do you want to go and change our vote on the because this is Bob McDonald versus Ahmad and Planning Commission, or do we still want to wait?
You know what, I think it would be good to look at someone new. I think someone mentioned that. And I just think, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
But he can't be on two commissions, can he?
No, he cannot.
So he'd have to decide if he gets chosen for Planning Commission, which one he wants to give up.
Well, if you're appointing him right now as the alternate, then he would not be eligible for the Planning Commission any longer.
Well, and then I think he's best suited for the Planning Commission.
So do you want to leave the alternate and go to the one valley, and then revisit the Planning Commission and then come back to the alternate, or do you want to how do you want to handle that?
Why don't we finish this? My suggestion is we finish this commission and then decide if we want to go back. And I guess it's up to the mayor, really.
Okay. So let's figure it out the valley.
So Councilmember Dean, you have these individuals. Let's remove these that have already been.
Yep.
And would you like me, assuming I'll go ahead and move Ahmad from this discussion for this position?
Yeah, because he'll get possibly either one, so he's out.
That's so bad that why can't an alternate be a valley resident?
Because the alternate has to be able to step into any position, and some of those you have to be which requires a registered voter, qualified elector. I'm sorry.
But
and that is part.
You have permission for one valley resident on the commission, right? And so if they become an alternate, then that just removes the valley resident from the commission because it's kind of unfair for Ahmad because he can't get elected to being on design review now just because he lives in the city of Sonoma. So he can only be an alternate.
The code requires that the alternate be a qualified elector. We cannot have the alternate position as a valley resident. The one at-large position and one, or in this case, a direct appointee of the council could be actually, you guys, I'm sorry, I'm talking myself into, I think the only position that now is available is the alternate.
What? I thought we were picking a valley at-large position.
Because, and this is the confusion, again, from that same, that I had talked about at the beginning of the meeting, that the CSC, and even when I did this, after I wrote it, I still put it on here, so I apologize. The traffic safety and the design review only have 5 members. There is no at-large position in the design review. You can have one of your direct appointments as a valley member.
Oh,
but the alternate,
wait.
So we're done voting now.
And if you want, I know my apologies. Again, this is that confusion, and it was confusing when we wrote it. That's why I brought it up at the beginning, and I caught myself in it again. So if you want to revisit this.
So there are no additions. So basically there was 2 direct appointments and 1 alternate, and that's it?
Correct. I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh.
We need to change that code. Is it possible for us to change the code so that Valley residents can be an alternate? I mean, that just seems silly because it basically, in a planning commission sense or in other places, it forces city residents to become alternates and non-voting members of boards in the place to push a Valley resident on there as a voting member. And I don't think that doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm fine for Valley residents to be voting members of boards. I think that's great.
Originally, Mayor Harvey, if I may, prior to the changes of this policy, one of the at-large members, there was one that was required to be a Valley resident, if I remember. And the alternate has always had to be a elected, has always had to have been a qualified elector of the city. Because before we went to direct appointments, the makeup of the committee and commissions were set that only one person could be a registered voter or a Valley person. And make that change, it would require a change to the municipal code. We're going through an ordinance change, which might be something to consider in the future.
Okay, interesting. All right. The only person we either don't consider, we don't have an alternate for design review, or we vote for, and then we wait until the new person in March comes. So I'll change my vote, I guess, on planning commission to Bob McDonald, and then we'll get Ahmad as our alternate for design review.
It's very, very confusing. Yeah.
Because for me, I do think that we need new blood on planning commission and the rest of it, but I also want these commissions set at this point.
I mean, I also just want to say that it doesn't have to be followed, but it's been traditional that people serve at least some amount of time on design review before going on to planning commission, so that by the time they get to planning commission, they're good to go, whether that's 2 years or 1 year or some amount of time. That's been the history of almost everybody on planning commission, is that they start on design review.
To be fair, considering Ahmad's resume and the amount of experience that he's had in design and development, I don't think that it would be an issue for him to step into planning commission. I don't think he'd have any issue at all. But I understand that. Yeah, I mean, typically people serve on planning commission before they run for council, but here I am. Here's Jack.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me also. I don't know if that is true that they serve on planning commission first, but
Well, I feel like I thought you were on
not
design
currently
review.
true.
That
You
is
were
the-
in community service before? I thought you were on something.
I was on this DSCC.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. Do I understand correctly then that Ahmad Jaharami will be the alternate for design review, and then with your vote change, Mayor Harvey, Robert McDonald will be the alternate for planning commission?
Sure. Yep.
Is that accurate? Okay.
Okay.
All right. So just to reiterate, make sure we're following this correctly. Councilmember Ding's direct appointment will be Kelly Amar. Councilmember Harrington's will be Terry Burt, and the alternate will be Ahmad Jaharami. And let's go, I'm going to stop sharing and we will go to the traffic safety. Let's see, and I'm going to make a change quickly that we won't have the Valley eligible. There's only the 2 direct appointments and then the alternate. The order for the traffic safety is Vice Mayor Agrimonti, Councilmember Harrington, Mayor Harvey, and Councilmember Ding. Starting with the direct appointment, we'll go Councilmember Harrington.
Nancy Parmalee.
Okay. And Councilmember Ding.
Nancy Parmalee.
She's already been accepted. Okay. Councilmember Harrington.
So Mark
So the
Damino.
Okay. So because they were the only 2 individuals that applied, we can go back out to, when we open the recruitment, we can go back out for recruitment for the alternate position.
That's good.
Okay. And with that, that would complete.
Can we say, just ask any of the people who applied for commissions if they'd like to be the alternate on that?
That would be, I guess, if they didn't apply for it, I'm not sure. I mean, that would, I guess, be up to the discretion of the council. Jeff,
So
do you have any?
originally, when I applied for planning commission, I didn't get on there, and then the city clerk sent me a note saying you weren't selected, but if you like, these commissions are open, and we will put your application to them. If you want, let us know.
Okay. That's something you
that's
guys
fine.
would. Okay.
No problem with that.
Do that. All right then. With that, then that concludes the appointment process.
We done did it.
Yay! So,
Excuse me, is it?
oh, wait, what was I gonna say? I just wanted to correct something. It's Ahmad Jaromi, J-A-H.
Jerome.
There's no A, Jaromi. There's no J-A-H-A-R-O-M-I. It's Jaromi. And I apologize if I'm not pronouncing it right.
Good job, Rebecca. That was taxing.
Yeah,
Oh,
You
yeah.
made it.
Sorry
That is
for the.
hard.
nice.
Fine. You got it done.
All right.
Very good.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can we take a break, please?
I'll allow it. Miss Councilmember Agrimonti, we'll take a break.
All right, thank you.
5-minute break. him and I could look this over and bring it back to council with suggestions.
The social media policy?
No, the ad hoc council subcommittee.
Oh,
Those
sorry.
are-
That's fine.
Okay. And if you guys look through it and there's specific ad hocs that you'd like to be on, just shoot me an email and we'll, because there's a bunch of positions that Rachel was on that that need to be switched out, and there's a bunch of commissions that are no longer active.
I guess the only thing I would say is that I got on the cemetery committee. I really didn't do anything about it. And Madeline gave me her binder. So if she wants to go back on the cemetery committee ad hoc, I would love to give her her binder back. And
Wondered where that stuff was.
I wanted Madeline.
I'm sorry,
I was
Madeline.
planning on putting Madeline back on there. So I don't know that I get to decide what's a group decision, but I'd put Madeline back on cemetery because I know she's really.
Yeah.
That really is thank you so much, because I'm really very close to that. And the other thing is North Bay Water Association. I don't know where that went. I think possibly David, but it's so connected to Highway 37.
Mm-hmm. I don't see North Bay Water Association on here as an ad hoc.
That was that's why this is so confusing. That was one that you guys talked about last time.
Oh, we put you on that, Madeline.
Right.
We put you on that. Yeah.
This one is, it sounds like we're talking about anyway. This is the internal committees that you guys use to work on specific projects.
That's ad hoc, right?
Right.
The other is something else.
Right.
And there's a lot that are already done, like the tin monument, that one is done. Memorial bench policy is already done. And we can talk about it right now if you want to.
Okay. I'll just take good notes.
Oh, thank you.
So if you want, I can share my screen unless you can call it up on your agendas.
Share your screen, please.
Okay, I'll do a share screen here.
Let's just do it. I don't think it's gonna take that long.
Okay. Take me longer to share my screen. Here we go. Okay, so I'll try to make it a little larger here.
Oh, good.
So these are categorized a little bit. There's a block in the middle there that is basically continue. And the thought would be if you want to propose changes to how two of you might work on that, Rebecca and I'll just take notes.
Okay. So Climate Action Council, CSCC Subcommittee, I'd like to stay on that. I don't know if there's another council member that would like to join. Because Rachel's that's the first one that's up there.
Don't all crowd.
Okay, I'll do it by myself. That's fine. Safe parking program. Does somebody want to join Madeline on that? Kind of deals with SOS and.
Oh, Jack, would that be a problem for Jack? Because he's on the.
Parking, yes, all right.
You're on the board, so you might have to. You probably can't do it because it's a conflict. Since you're on
Oh,
the
yes.
board, Jack.
Because I'm board member of the SOS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
I can
probably.
do it alone. I mean, but if somebody else wants to be on it, it's fine.
I can share it with you, but
Well, that's a good idea.
you're the lead.
Mayor Harvey, if
Yeah.
I may just briefly, on the Climate Action Council CSC subcommittee, that is a little bit different because that's the standing committee that the council appointed to. It's an ongoing committee. It's not ad hoc. So it's supposed to have two council members. That's the way the makeup of the committee was set up to meet with the members of the CSCC. That's the Brown Act committee. So if you don't have another council member, you basically have a vacancy.
I'll do it. I'll go on that with you, Logan.
Okay, great. We got Madeline. Perfect.
Thank you.
Are we just going to add whoever joins the city council to some of these later, or what's?
Yeah,
That's a good idea. You could leave some spots there except for that one that Rebecca mentioned.
Okay. Broadway Streetscape is done. Is the Plaza and Depot Park done?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'd like to be on that.
I think that's part of the parks master plan.
Yeah. Housing legislation, Amy, do you want to keep that?
Sure.
Great. Ting Monument is done. Council chamber design.
Ting is done. Yes, Ting
Yeah,
is.
yeah. That's done. Council chamber design is done.
Actually, we actually have only the first phase of that done.
Okay. Well, Madeline and I will stay on that together, I think. Historical Society partnership, that never met.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we want to continue that.
I want to join you. Yeah.
Okay. So Jack and I will take it and we'll see if it meets.
That one was that we named the Historical Society as the city historian instead of a person, but then they were supposed to come back to us with a plan for how they would do it. And I don't think we ever got that next step of them doing it or making a plan about it.
And
Yeah, we
Amy,
never did.
was that actually the Preservation League or no?
I think it was a historical society.
Okay.
Historical Society.
Yeah. So that was like about getting them going as our historian.
And trying to like,
when
develop programs and stuff that they could present, but they never brought anything forward. So good. Let's Jack, please join me, and then let's
Just
post
follow
up,
up.
see if we can get anything. Yeah, let's get a follow up. All right, Development Code Revision Committee. It's me and Madeline. I'm trying to keep it.
We're still there.
Yeah. Business recovery and resilience. We've been working on this through COVID. Does somebody want to take Rachel's spot?
Well, if nobody wants it, I will, but if anybody else would like that, that's fine.
Or the new person, if you, for you.
Oh, yeah. I'd leave it open then. I'm good.
Yeah, leave it open. Memorial bench is done. Housing ad hoc. Early housing. Madeline, has that committee met?
No,
Okay, do you want to just get rid of it?
right, I agree.
Okay. Eviction mediation ad hoc subcommittee. Has that met?
No, and I think what's going with the council actually is to working on that, looking at the,
That's something that's under Lisa Jensen's portfolio to work on, and there's some progress on that. If you had an ad hoc committee that just wants to advise her, that could be smart.
Okay, so Madeline can keep that. Jack, or does anybody want to join her?
Sure.
Okay, great. Cemetery assessment and strategy. We're putting Madeline on. Does Amy, do you want to join, or do you want to just have Madeline and potentially the new person?
Yeah, I think Madeline, I have been on there for 2 years and have done nothing important at all. So maybe I shouldn't be on there.
Fair enough. Okay. So we'll bury Amy there, and then we'll. Great. So UGB drafting committee is done. Committee is done. Police contract. I guess we need one.
I don't think so.
These are all completed. You can skip these if you wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, all completed. Communication, collaboration, coordination. I'm fine if it's me and Amy to stay. It hasn't really done anything. PSPS resolution, that's done.
That's all we got.
That's all we got. And there'll be new, I'm sure we'll develop new ad hocs for whatever reason. Okay.
Okay.
I would like an ad hoc to make a drive-in movie theater at the Veterans Building. So if the mayor could make that happen, that'd be great.
Okay.
Oh God, that would be
Started.
fun.
Boom. Any other ad hoc ideas? Let's have an ad hoc committee to start new ad hocs. I'd like to be on that. All right, cool.
Thank you for that.
Item 6.4. That wasn't so bad, David. We got it done.
It was not.
That's easier.
So 6.4, this is Councilmember Ding's item.
Yes.
Remember that your process is you vote tonight whether you want to bring something back and talk about it in more detail. And the thought, the more detail would be to bring back an item, a resolution in support of a statewide single payer system for healthcare.
That is right. Yeah.
Okay. Jack, do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yes, this is a single pay medical system, as everybody know that is in the long-term work and decades already. That is in the Medicare for all. That is simple. And city is not a decision maker. And however, we just present this kind of gesture. We support because, and Governor Newsom also advocate this kind of thing. Yeah. So it's real in our small town, a lot of the self-employed person and really, really need this. I have my client, just 35 years old and an electrician, wife is the elementary school teacher, is not full-time, part-time. So the school didn't cover the medical insurance. And then every year he came to my office, got a service, always, I always ask him if you should buy the health insurance, but he said I cannot afford. It's very, very sad. And also they just save the money and buy health insurance for the 8-year-old daughter. Yeah, both of them without. Hardworking and also is an electrician and climbing very tall in the ceilings. It's really, really sad. Yeah. He works 7 days a week. Finally, he cannot afford. So if this kind of the policy will be really realized in the future, definitely will help a lot of people. Not only this is just only one, maybe hundreds of thousands in the valley, in the county, everywhere. So that's the reason. And also, this proposal initially from the Mary David. She has been working for this project a long time, advocate. And she is a doctor, retired doctor. And then also work with the Democrat Party and then do a lot of volunteer work. So I want to support her. And also our city should endorse or advocate this kind of the policy. So that's the reason I propose this resolution to our and the council for your consideration and support. Thank you.
Jack, are there questions on this item from council?
Well, I have questions, but I support moving forward on it. I don't have questions that really are relevant at this time because I have some issues with respect to this. Okay. But I think it's good. I think it would be a good discussion.
Great. We'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. Seeing no one rise, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the council. Yeah, I'll absolutely support putting this on the agenda and discussing this. I think, sometimes it is a good thing for elected leaders of cities to signal support for legislation that they aren't going to be voting on. So collecting cities who support things like universal health care would be great. And absolutely agree with Jack. I think it's really important for everybody to have access to healthcare in the United States. I lived in South Korea for 3.5 years and had healthcare there, just as everybody had the same insurance plan. It was very, very easy to be able to get access to medicine. It was extremely cheap and reasonable. I'll give you an example. My wife was visiting there and sprained her ankle, was just on a tourist visa, so it wasn't really covered by the insurance, the national insurance, but she went in for an x-ray. We got seen immediately. And she got an x-ray for $70. That's what we paid for. In the United States, you're looking at $7 plus $100 or $7 plus $100 for just an x-ray here. And so having insurance is something that people really worry about it. We've really seen the issues with that with the pandemic. So yeah, I'll save more comments for the future, but I'll be supporting this tonight. Other comments from council?
Only just a quick comment on podcast. I was looking for it. There's some really good discussions on Medicare for all. So if I could, I'll share that with people if they wanted to participate. And just
I would love to hear that. Yeah.
I would just, I support having a agenda item on this in the future. I'm happy that Jack brought it forward. Thank you. I think it's great. And I'm wondering, maybe it can't be combined with this, but I would like to discuss the topic of extending health insurance to our commissioners in San Francisco. All the commissioners get health insurance through the city. And that's something I'd like to look at some point also.
I think it'd be a worthwhile discussion, but isn't probably covered by this agenda item. But yeah, I don't disagree that would be a good discussion. All right, so we got a motion. Is there a motion?
So
I put a motion for approve.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Agrimonti,
Aye.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Great. And it occurred to our illustrious city manager here that we did not take public comment on item 6.3. So we're going to have to go back and take public comment on item 6.3. So I'll go ahead and open public comment on the ad hoc committee.
Oh.
And we got Fred Albach.
Oh boy.
Fred, we got to start keeping stats on you. On public.
We're gonna have to put a GPS on him.
He's probably got the most. If he had a baseball card, he'd probably have the most.
We will get him brought in. Let's see.
Okay, I wanted to stick around for this particular item because I know that the CSEC schedule had been staggered with the schedule of the Climate Action Joint Committee, and that had been kind of perhaps, we didn't know if with the with David Kiff as interim city manager, whether the schedule of February 11th would hold, since that was Kathy's schedule. And then there was the question of that there wasn't going to maybe be a second council member. So I'm hoping now that there are two council members that the February 11th schedule for that can still hold. And I know that a lot of members of the public are looking forward to this and anxious to have this process get started. So I hope the February 11th meeting of that standing committee can stand. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Fred. Do we have other members of the public wishing to make a comment here? Seeing no one rise, I'll bring it back to council. Dave, do we have a response on that? Can we have a meeting of this on February 11th?
I believe we can.
Okay, there you are. Boom, done. All right, we don't need to vote on 6.3, right? We've already kind of figured that out. So we're on to item 6.5. Discussion, consideration, possible action to adopt a resolution approving city social media policy. City clerk and assistant city attorney.
Once again, good evening. So the city of Sonoma uses social media to communicate about its mission, its meetings, its activities, and current events and issues. Members of the staff, and beginning with the 17 fires, the city's social media presence has been much bigger, and it's taken on the additional role of being the primary venue for community members to catch up on the city's activities, the latest emergency updates, and current events. And currently, we do not have a social media policy that governs our online social media activities on a citywide basis. So by adopting a citywide social media policy, the city will be providing clear rules as to how to interact on social media, as well as to lessen the risk to the city of being subjected to legal or other challenges. Purpose of the citywide social media policy is to provide a framework in using social media for public communication and engagement, to create consistency across city platforms, and to avoid misinterpretation of protocol. The policy provides a comprehensive framework for everyone, whether it's a city representative or member of the public. We developed this policy by researching and modeling other cities' policies for social media best practices, and by speaking with city staff and receiving the input from city attorney's office. The policy sets guidelines on the city's social media usage, including terms of use for the public. It clarifies that the city's official website remains in the primary online presence, though during times of emergency, the city will use both our city website and social media to communicate emergency information. And I will add on that, the city of Sonoma is one of the frequently visited social media sites during the time of emergency. Our numbers drastically increase, and we've been told it's because they consider us a trusted source. The policy defines critical terms, including platforms that qualify as social media, for example, Facebook, Nextdoor, or Instagram. And it addresses many different areas, including posting guidelines and limitations, approval and administration of social media sites, records retention and the Public Records Act, public terms of use, and personal social media use by city representatives. Each of these, I'm not going to go into each of these areas because they were covered more in depth in the staff report that was included in your packet. And that's a very brief overview of the policy, but it does conclude staff's report, and I'm happy to address any questions. Assistant City Attorney Donna Bacci is here with us as well, and is available for questions as well.
I have some questions. I don't know if anyone else does.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, I was trying to print it, but hang on one sec. I just want to look at my paper copy real quick.
It looks like you're putting your arm into the cabinet, like disappearing into your background to get your paper.
Sorry. I guess I'll start at the end.
She's a wizard.
Okay. So at the end, item X, violations, it says disciplinary action up to and including termination for city staff. Wouldn't that have to be bargained with the union?
That is
Rebecca,
as far as part of collective bargaining, it would be a management policy. So this is a policy that would be signed by the employees. So it would be a management policy or a management procedure, but it wouldn't be something that would relate to the terms and conditions of employment that would require collective bargaining.
But one of the terms is that you can be fired if you violate this policy, and that doesn't have to be bargained with them. There's a new thing that you can be fired for.
Much like the personnel rules. The personnel rules have terms that say you could be terminated for violations, but those also are not subject to collective bargaining.
Okay, and then appointed city officials are like commissioners? Is that what that is? What's an appointed
Correct.
City official? That's what it is.
I believe the definition for city official includes employees, all council members, commissioners, board members.
So it has removal from office. So if somebody violates the social media policy, then they can be removed from office? Where'd this policy come from?
It was based on, we pulled research from other cities and looked at different pieces of it. And then we talked with staff members and the city attorney's office.
Mm-hmm.
So it was patterned on other cities' policies, yes.
Do you know which cities?
The city of Milpitas, I go back and look, there were several, don't remember.
I have seen other cities with similar policies, however.
Yeah, I'm just curious because there's cities that I think are probably more in line with our, I don't know, ethos and others that are not. So can I just understand, does this policy mean that after it's adopted, you cannot, as a city council member, open a new social media account on a platform without express permission from the city?
No, it does not say that.
Okay.
It specifically says that permission or monitoring by the city is not done for individual social media pages.
Hold on.
Councilmember Harrington, if you look at Roman numeral 9, the second paragraph under Roman numeral 9, Roman numeral 9.
So the only controls on a elected official are that they have to add the tagline to their social media. Where is that? That this is not a city social media site?
In the additional restrictions on the next page, specific to city officials, there is that statement that is added to the social media pages. There are some restrictions as well, such as not blocking or deleting any posts if it is a public or a designated public forum.
I thought that the well, I don't know. Does anyone else have other questions?
Yeah, I do. Mr. Mayor, is that okay? Or does somebody want to go ahead? All right, so in the beginning, I just asked right over the first paragraph, the word why with a question mark. And I know currently, what's going on in our society, it's a little bit dangerous to give free will to people. But I just want to know, with this, is there a structure that comes along with? Is there going to be a structure? Like there's one person who is contacted. I know when I worked for senators, it was like there was an organizational chart. If someone does this, if someone is there, and if they're out of town or they whatever, then this person handles it. It's just not free will. But what if, like, you have a Department of Public Works and the head of the DPW? So is that something you, Dave, would like to oversee, or how does that work? I understand the purpose of it, but I guess I don't understand some of it. That's all.
It's not a direct oversee, but it's certainly the ability to oversee if you feel, if the manager, me, or the next person feels like there's a certain tone that needs to be set that isn't being set. It's more an ability to kind of corral and correct if need be.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. But I guess with this, is there some type of a organizational structure that people know this is the guy, this is the person. So I think whatever, I mean, I'm interested in this, but I think people need to have some direction as to who handles what.
Who do we ask questions, if we have questions about, is this correct? Can I do this? Who do we ask questions of? And if we do something wrong, who's determining that we did something wrong and talking about it? And that's for staff and council members. Is that kind of?
And I guess my other question is, so do you, our legal staff and city manager, do you feel there's a reason for this policy?
So there are problems if we don't have one. And that is, and I haven't seen any behaviors that make me think there's a problem in Sonoma, but you don't want to slip to that point where you have the problems and you have no policy to defend the city and the council, including other council members, if it's, say, a renegade council member, from the problem. Because that problem person, again, who doesn't exist right now, would say, well, you don't have a policy that explains how I do this. Similar to an employee, if there was a problem employee saying, you don't have a policy that required me to clear my tweets or my posts with the city manager, with the department head.
So Dave, is that different from going back to what Amy was talking about? I think there's a level of reprimand, discussion, writing, and then maybe, reprimand, something like that.
Sure.
Is that on that line?
As John's pointing out, none of this would go outside of the typical disciplinary process. A verbal reprimand, a written reprimand. However, there's always an exception to that, of course. If someone did something that was absolutely crazy or racist or just something that was beyond the pale and beyond our what we would have a zero tolerance for. Those are the kinds of things that may elevate itself to a more dramatic initial response.
So you understand but you do understand some type of a structure available. I know you do have that within your own HR, disciplinary process. But I guess I'm just trying to make sure that if this is something, I don't know. I feel like social media, I don't know. I don't understand. It's like wild, wild west. I don't know what you do with it. But I understand if you're employed by the city of Sonoma, or if you're on the city council, then there is a certain norm that you would like. I guess that's right. Okay.
Yeah, it's more, I think of it more of bumpers, areas which you wouldn't cross that poorly represent the city. And that's the purpose of a policy like this, is to make sure that posts stay within those boundaries.
So at this point, I don't know if I'm supposed to, well, I'll wait. Sorry. I apologize.
For item 4, content and posting guidelines and limitations, it says all social media liaisons. Is that defined somewhere? What is that?
We add it in it is not, Councilmember Harrington, it is not defined. The way the current structure is that looking for that.
I think that would need to be defined. Could add a definition. I mean, I don't know what that means, but it should be under definition, since it's a class of people that have to adhere to these content guidelines, but it's not defined who that class is.
Okay.
Rebecca, who would that be? What group of people is that covering? Is that staff, city staff, basically?
Currently, right now, we have the way the structure is. We have our PIO team, our public information team, and we are responsible for all content that goes on to our social media pages as far as posting. We do monitor them, anything if there's something if there was something racist, we look for those types of things. And when we were looking at this, there was some discussion that there was some discussion about if we wanted to expand to department Facebook pages, that we could have a liaison in each department would help with that content. But that is not, that it has not been established yet.
So as it currently is structured, each department head has the power to post on the city's website.
No, if the department wants to post something on one of our social media sites, it either goes to a member of our PIO team, which our PIO team at this time is Sarah Tracy and myself, and Lori Decker and Lisa Jansen also assist with that. They typically would send that to us for posting.
So social media liaison is a department head? No. Not at this time. Right now, we do not have anyone who is categorized as a social media liaison. But I'm saying we have a whole thing here that says some group of people has to adhere to these rules. Who are those people?
Right now, if we were to say them, I would say that would be the public information team.
But you have a separate part about the public information team.
I suppose the intent could be that at this time it would be the public information team. Perhaps that authority would be given to department heads down the line as the policy is implemented.
So is the words that are meant here are all persons who have authority to post on the city's website shall adhere to the following? Is that the meaning of the sentence?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we should change it to that because that's an undefined term currently. That would be a proposal.
So in 4 then, all persons who have authority to post on these city social media sites shall adhere to the following content and posting guidelines and limitations listed below in managing city social media sites.
That would be my suggestion, but I'm just one person, so. Anyway, I think we're still on questions. That would be one suggestion I have.
So what limitations does this have for staff and council members commenting or posting on Facebook on their own time? It's, as you kind of outlined it, Dave, it sounds like if they see something unconscionable, then this policy would apply, but generally it would not apply.
That's how I'd characterize it. As long as it was clear that it was on their own time and not in any city or official capacity.
Okay, so we have a public works member we have a clerk, or we have anybody. I don't want to pick on people. I'm trying to name like ideas. I don't want to just public up. We have some employee of some department. They're on their own personal page. One, do they have to write that they are not an official city page on their own personal page? Like their personal Facebook?
It should be clear from their personal Facebook that it is not an official city. They're not officially.
Public capacity of the individual, whether that be a city official or a city employee, and non-city related business, and that the personal page be the non-city related business of that.
So I'm a public works employee, and I post a picture of myself and my coworker working on some project inside the city on my personal page. Has that personal page now become an official page of the city? It's just a picture. I'm like, You know, did a great job on the playground today.
No, you know, the advisement for employees would be not to get into commentary, political commentary about city business, for instance, because of the replies and people who could go on that site if it were an uncontrolled site. But as far as just posting a photo of an individual with another coworker, that would not make it first a city social media site and would not necessarily make it a public forum either.
So if our planning director started commenting on Sonoma Index Tribune articles and saying like, hey, you know, this project's really great and that kind of stuff, that would be a problem.
And someone, the problem would come in where someone may reply and say, I think this is a terrible project and I think you did a really lousy job. And the planning director then would delete that post or would block that person. That's where the problem would come in. And that's why we want employees to stay away from city business and to post more of the non-city business on their pages.
Okay. What if it's a city business thing that they're not related to? So let's say it's a planning project, but somebody from Public Works comments on it and says, I hate this new project. It's going to cause tons of traffic. And they're a Public Works employee. But it's on the Sonoma Index Tribune page.
If it's on a personal social media page.
No, it's like they're a person commenting on an article and they're a resident in Sonoma, but they happen to work for the city and they have an opinion about a project that's before the city. Could they comment on that?
They would have a right to comment on that.
Okay.
It would be on a separate third-party social media page. They would have a right to comment on that if that's what they so chose. Comment about that article.
So the problem becomes if I'm I just keep using Public Works. If I'm a Public Works employee and I have Logan Harvey, director of the water district, or water supervisor, and that's a page that I operate, and I start talking about city business there, that's the problem.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get the example.
I operate a page, let's say Rebecca had a page that was Rebecca Barr, city clerk of Sonoma. That would be not advised, and that would be a problem if she started posting that kind of stuff.
We would hope that Rebecca, as an employee of the city, would not place the page as being an official page of the city clerk. What the policy says is that there's only one city social media page. That's the official city social media page. However, whatever comments or posts or replies are made on that page, the city's not going to monitor that. The city's not going to control that. But the problem comes in if somebody who is posting on city business stops others, essentially, from giving their opinions on city business as well.
And then how does this apply to council members as far as deleting people or deleting posts? I operate two pages. I have a mayor page, and then I also have a personal page. Am I allowed to delete things off of my personal page, but not on my mayor page? Is that how that works?
Certainly off of your personal page, if you can, yes. If your mayor page is not open to public access, if there are only certain users that can be on your mayor page, then you may be able to delete posts as well. But if it's a page that is open to the public and you are posting items that are on city related business and you receive replies that because of their viewpoint, you don't agree with them, that doesn't mean that you can then remove them or block them from future use.
On my personal non-mayor page, sometimes I post about city business. Does that mean I have to accept all friend requests and allow everybody in?
It's really a devil in the details, unfortunately. So it's best to keep as much separation as possible.
So, Mr. Mayor, could I ask a question? It's, and I guess through you, I'd like to ask Dave, it seems like we're just sort of like maybe not basically, somewhat uncomfortable. I trust what John Bocci has done for us because I know he's done such a good job for us before. But so, it doesn't feel like we're not ready for this. I don't know what that means. So maybe you can help us with that, Dave.
Would it be possible? I think maybe we could table this discussion and bring it back to council, and that would give us time to kind of review and talk individually with the city attorney. Is that kind of a request?
Sure. This isn't an easy policy to think through, so it's nice that you're spending time looking at it. It's perfectly okay to have it brought back.
I have, if we're gonna do that, I had some comments I want to make about it that I just would want to share before if we're gonna continue it, just so people could also think about whether they care about these things or not. They're short, they're not questions. Anyway, I didn't say them yet because it's not about the whole policy, it's about specific items.
So I think it's a great idea that maybe we can just come at it again. I don't think I disagree with it. It's just that there's so many moving parts.
Do we still have to take public comment if we're going to continue it, or?
If you're going to continue, you can take public comment on whether it should be continued or not.
Okay. Well, I had, just for the record, before we do anything, I had questions, I guess I'll say, under the public terms of use, item 7, items 1 through 11. I think some of these are really problematic, and I think anything that you can do in a public sphere, you should be able to do online. And so someone could come and use profanity as a form of protest, and I think they should be allowed to do it online. I don't think, like, for example, number 11, repetitive posts by the same user or multiple users, I think that should be allowed. In terms of bullying people online, you could get bullied at a protest, and limiting people's right to participate in ways that are not polite, I don't think is a good idea. And there is a huge dialogue, which I am deeply interested in the restriction of the right to free speech on social media platforms. And a number of these items, I would just say for everyone to look at number 7, items 1 through 11, and ask yourself, what are you allowed to do at a public protest? And if this is a quasi-public space now, why are we saying that you cannot do it here? And if somebody wanted to make offensive comments to us, they would have the right to do that. And I think they should have the right to do that online as well. But a lot of these are problematic. And also the punishments, which include for posting things that other people don't like, for making speech that other people don't like, that you could be removed from office, is deeply troubling. And I am glad we're continuing it so that we can have a deeper thought about it. These are significant issues of our time about what is allowed to be said and who gets to decide what is polite enough to enter in the public discourse. So I'm happy to continue it and have that robust discussion at an earlier hour.
Great. Let's go ahead and open it up for, unless there's comments from Councilmember Ding or Councilmember Agrimonti, I'd like to open it up for public comment on continuing the item.
That means the discussion is going to be limited just to continuing the item, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, okay.
So is it, I would
You mean the public comment is limited, right?
Yes, but then if you close public comment and then have a subsequent discussion on the merits of this proposal, that's not in keeping with what you've asked the public to talk about.
Yeah, but Jack right now, Councilmember Ding could make comments about this generally right now, right?
Yeah, lots of the thing,
Well, let's just open to public
lots of the comments. Yeah,
All right, if you're not going to continue it, or if other council members want to talk about it, let's just open the public comment, bring it back. Council can then talk about it as much as they want. Then a motion to continue would be in order.
Oh, okay. So we'll go ahead and open public comment. Seeing no one rise, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the council. Councilmember Ding.
I don't have a lot of the comments because this kind of issue always in controversy. I think sometimes you just use your common sense, use your goodwill, you use your good sense to make the adjustment. If you really want to say, oh, this is right, maybe you can find 100 reasons that is proved that is right, but not necessary. Especially for the city council member, I think we should treat ourselves with a little bit of a higher standard and also try to avoid those kind of controversy. Just do what you can, you think, common sense to tell you, intuition to tell you that is right, believe yourself, that is right. Try to make things easy and simple, because so much stuff in controversy, let us, maybe cannot talk or, the reduce efficiency as well.
Okay. Other comments from council?
Are we planning on continuing it or are we voting on it?
Voting on it. Continuing, I think, is that right?
Be helpful.
I'm sorry. Did you say continue it, Jeff?
Yes, if there's a desire on some council members' part to continue it, let's tee that issue up right now. And a motion to continue with a second would raise that issue to the forefront of the present time.
Okay, well, I'll just wait, as we move along. I don't need to comment.
Mayor Harvey, would you like to?
I'll move. You want to move then, Amy? Go ahead.
No, I just want to know if you wanted to continue it or discuss it.
I think it's important that we continue it. I think there's serious questions among council members about this. I think I'd like to do more kind of research and thinking on it. So that's where I'm at with this.
All right, motion to continue it to the next hearing, next city council meeting.
Second?
Actually, the next city council meeting, I think, would be, your interviews with the new, potential new. So if you maybe give us, maybe continue indefinitely, we won't punt it too far. Is that all right?
That sounds good. All right,
Okay.
motion to continue it and to be reset by the city manager and mayor at a appropriate date.
Though I do appreciate this being brought to us, because I think we have had some issues with this on our own council. So I'm glad that we're talking about it.
Great. Do you have a second?
I second.
All right, roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Agrimonti,
Aye.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember
I can't hear you, but maybe you said me. Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Great. So we are done with the regular meeting and on to council member reports and comments. I would just like to point out and mention that it is the first day of Black History Month, and so encourage everybody to engage with that as best you can and learn more about the history of African Americans in the United States. And so just want to celebrate that. And I know everybody on council is, and so just wanted to acknowledge that it is the beginning of Black History Month. And yeah, that's what I would say. Anybody else?
Thank you. I have a question for the city manager. I've gotten questions, and I think this is why Mayor Fopley is on, about our votes on these different appointments that we were supposed to pass on to the Board of Supervisors. And I think the deadline, like for ABAG and the Golden Gate Bridge District and all that. And I think that somebody told me the deadline was next week. What are we doing about that?
So the city clerk can correct me, but it's my understanding that here in Sonoma, we let the mayor make those appointments. And the mayor also has the discretion to do nominations on the fly or votes on the fly there at during that meeting on, later in February here.
That is not my recollection of past years.
That actually was the way it was. It came through the council with letters of interest, in, and we had the discussion regarding the groundwater sustainability. There was a discussion from Councilmember Cook that needed an answer or discussion from the council. And at that point, the council made a decision that the appointments to the different commissions or different regional appointments could make that decision unless there was something that was not that the council had discussed. That was the way it changed.
I know what you're talking about, but that's actually a different issue. And so what we said was that if you were an appointee on a board, like I'm on Sonoma Clean Power, and they wanted you to vote on something that would affect the entire council, that if you did not have time to vote on, to bring that back to the council to approve it, that you would have independent authority yourself as an appointed member from the city of Sonoma to do that. But we never agreed that we would not vote on these commissions. And that is something we have always done. And every other city in the entire county of Sonoma also is voting and sending their votes along to the Board of Supervisors, et cetera. So this isn't, I know what you're saying, but that was about how you might act as an appointed person on a board, not about how we as a body would select our picks for countywide, sometimes inter-county agencies.
So I forget, this is Madeline. So who's designated to state who the city supports? Is that the mayor?
Yes.
The mayor states who they support, but the question is how are they chosen?
Right, so all these people that have been contacting each of us asking for our votes assume, which has always been correct, that the entire council votes on who the council recommends. Perhaps the mayor communicates that. Sometimes the mayor doesn't communicate it. The city clerk communicates it to the Board of Supervisors that there's been a vote of the city council, and here is who we recommend. We're supposed to recommend like up to 3 people for different things, and
Well, so again, I was acting under this understanding.
Yeah.
And I apologize if that's not the case. If you did want to change that, we would likely need to call a special meeting, which is certainly doable, and agendize those choices in time for the regional meeting.
I think we should do that.
I think we should do that.
And I apologize. I just, I guess I thought it would be on this agenda and I wasn't sure of the timing. And then I've been getting a bunch of calls right during this meeting saying, why aren't you guys voting on this?
And I was going on what we did the last year and in with the previous city manager. So my apologies as well.
So let's remind ourselves, when is the regional meeting that these votes would be taken by Mayor Harvey, but with the approval of the council?
Let me look. I believe
it's the 11th.
Next Thursday.
So the 11th. So, Mr. City Attorney, we called a special meeting for later this week. We have 24 hours notice, but nice to give a little bit more. Like on Thursday, we could have a Thursday meeting with an agenda that summarized all the applications, and that would give Mayor Harvey enough time, the council enough time to vote a week from then.
I'd like that.
Does that sound
If
reasonable?
it's possible.
Are folks available on, let's say, on Thursday afternoon, 5-ish? Just spitballing here. I'm sure everyone travels well out of state.
That's fine for me.
Thursday is the
5
4th?
o'clock's a little tough for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, is that the 4th you're talking about? What is that?
It's the 4th.
So far, we're talking about the 4th, but.
Okay,
we can
I'm
pick
fine.
another day.
What about Tuesday the 9th? Could we do Tuesday the 9th?
Certainly.
That
That would work much better for me.
at an earlier time.
I can't do anything after 5:30 on any Tuesday.
I'm okay. Yeah.
So
I could do 4:30 to 5:30.
Okay.
Try for that. Tuesday, February 9th, 4:30 to 5:30, a Zoom meeting, one agenda item. It's the regional board appointments.
Great.
Rebecca or Jeff, any questions or concerns about that?
Well, on the 9th, there's a finance meeting.
Yes.
Well, we can move that up a little bit, I think.
Wait a minute. I do have a meeting with Sue for the audit meeting, and the Agrimonti and me and Sue, we have the meeting, right?
Council member, we'll move that up a tiny bit.
Yeah, I just need to check with the auditor, but I think that's doable. We started it at 3:30, so what time were you planning on meeting? 4:30?
4:30.
Yeah, so maybe we could start it at 3. I think that'll be fine. Is that enough time, you think?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, if you.
Is that okay, Madeline?
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Oh, and could I ask, as long as we're asking questions, Rebecca, Form 700, when is that due?
It is due the 1st of April, 1st or 2nd of
I thought you were going to say January 26th or something.
No, you'll be getting from something called NetFile. It'll give you the opportunity to file electronically.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Cool.
Cool.
Are we set? City manager comments, you already did those. Any other council member reports or comments?
Now, I do have a quick comment. I'd like to thank Dave so much for signing up so many people for vaccinations. You know, I'm guilty because I sent out probably between 70 and 80 emails about the signing up, and I guess somebody was telling me, so-and-said said, thank you. Tell Matt that I said thank you. So Dave, thank you so much. It didn't look too difficult, but still it took up a lot of your precious time to do. I think you said you signed up about 20 people.
Vintage House did 50, I did 18. It was a very fulfilling experience to talk to people who really wanted to get their appointment.
Oh, right. There's some special people, I think, that really, really wanted this. So I appreciate, you know, you stepped beyond your wheelhouse. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I guess, I would like to talk about that. Do we have there was a discussion around volunteer signups for cemetery cleanup. Dave, do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on with the cemetery with the group?
Yeah, sure. And I'll try to put this in the chat. Actually, maybe I'll be able to share my screen here.
Thanks.
This will not take very long. I know everybody's tired. Okay, so folks know that the Mountain Cemetery had experienced some really tough vandalism a couple weekends ago already. And so there is an opportunity for folks to help us clean that up. It may be as soon as this Saturday. The sign up location is on our website, sonomacity.org, and then /mountain-cemetery/. This is a sign up, you could just pick this one event. We'll provide the paint. You just provide your grubbies and your mask and help us paint that. And then also, if you wanted to be part of a kind of a stewards group that would help monitor the cemetery for future vandalism and avoid it, that's your sign up location. So thank you, Mr.
Great, thank you. So that's sonomacity.org/mountain-cemetery. Everybody get that out, and we'll have a good time this Saturday cleaning all that up.
That's cool. It got on the website so fast. I like that.
Yeah, great job by the city team. Thank you to Colleen Ferguson for all of her work on this. Thank you to Dave and our PIO team for moving on this. We had a number of people reach out to myself after I posted about this, and especially after the article came out in the IT requesting. We had Rotary reach out and a bunch of individual citizens saying, hey, I'd love to help. And I'd love to get involved on a volunteer basis. And so it looks like we already have eight volunteers. So I called Dave, and Dave said, let's do this, and talked to Chief Orlando, and Chief Orlando was like, we want to do some volunteer work too. So just amazing how quickly it came together, and just thank you so much, Dave, for being so flexible, and thank you to the team for making this happen so quickly. So we'll get it done and get it cleaned up, and we'll have a little crew going through and monitoring. So hopefully we'll abate that problem. All right, great. Jeff Walter, attorney at law.
I just have a quick reminder. This is consistent with our discussions about social media earlier this evening. Recall that effective January 1 this year under the Brown Act, you all have the right on your own social media platform and Facebook page, for example, or otherwise, to answer questions, provide information to the public, or solicit information from the public regarding city issues. However, no other council member can directly respond to those posts. They cannot comment on your posts. No other council member can do a thumbs up, for example, on your particular post, and they cannot forward something you might be posting on your page. Remember that. You can read it. You can read whatever other council member says, but you cannot directly respond to it or pass it on to anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
You can't pass it on to anyone else that is on the city council, or you can't pass it on to anyone else, period.
You can't, like, if I post something about wildfires, can Amy share it?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you post something about wildfires and I screenshot it, or I say, hey, check out Logan's post to one of our joint constituents. Can I do that?
Hold on, let me see. It's not specifically addressed in the statute, but I think there are a couple of other lawyers who have analyzed the bill and recommend against that.
No gossiping?
Can a council member retweet or share another council member's post without comment? Probably not. Typically, sharing or retweeting shows support for the prior post, and this may be seen as a direct communication that is prohibited by the new law.
Like cereal or something.
What if you put a caption in front of it that says, look at this idiot, and then you share it?
Whether you say
Found
he's
the
an idiot,
workaround.
whether you say this person's an idiot or a genius, I suspect there's a problem.
You're gonna have to stop sharing my posts, Amy, if you can't write that.
Making it tough. You saw how upset I was about the social media policy. There's got to be swearing.
Oh, God. Oh,
very good.
Headache.
Oh my God, does that mean the party's over?
The party is over, Madeline.
Fun meeting.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye.
Bye. Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.